found no connection between vaccines and autism. He says the combined MMR vaccine is about 97% effective at preventing measles. The Trump administration is moving toward making separate measles, mumps, and rubella shots available while keeping the combined vaccine as an option. DOS worries separating the shots could lead some children to miss follow-up doses. Kern County confirmed its first measles cases in more than 20 years last week. School bus drivers are asking motorists to pay extra attention now that thousands of Kern County students are back in class. 2 school buses were involved in crashes Wednesday afternoon. One was near Sierra Middle School. The other happened on Allen Road south of Rosedale Highway. Students were aboard both buses, but no one was hurt. Drivers are reminded that yellow flashing lights means a bus is getting ready to stop. Red flashing lights and the extended stop sign mean traffic generally has to stop in both directions. Bus drivers say motorists running those red lights remain one of their biggest safety concerns. The Highway Patrol is planning a DUI and driver license checkpoint Saturday night. It's going to run from 6 in the evening until 2 Sunday morning somewhere in an unincorporated area of Bakersfield. Officers will be checking for drivers under the influence of alcohol or drugs, along with valid licenses. After days of triple-digit temperatures, Bakersfield is getting a break. The high today should be around 95. Friday, around 92. Temperatures begin climbing again this weekend. I'm Rob Archer in the Kern Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest, well, in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's going to give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm going to make him an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio. Here's...
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing, for those subscribing on YouTube. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we're streaming live at KERNradio.com. Chris Burdick is producing the broadcast, and all of our IT information here at AGM is provided by the folks at Adaptive Networks. Call them today at 661-241-0638. We got another busy show on this 13th day of August, even though on my rundown it says July the 13th. What is wrong with me? Good googly boogly. A bizarre twist in the fate of Luigi Mangione, where the feds, apparently Cynthia Zimmer has gone to work for the federal government because it's let's make a deal with a murderer. I will unpack that in just a second. Steve Hilton has cut into Mr. Becerra's lead. It's still a significant one, but Becerra, who is completely and totally incompetent, as chronicled by his Biden administration colleagues, has plummeted quite a bit. And I'm sure, as you've noticed, or maybe you haven't because you haven't seen it, he's hiding out. You couldn't find Javier Becerra if your life depended on it. And to be blunt, it's smart strategy. Just go do the Biden and just hide out. He's got an 18-point lead. It's down from 25, but that's still incredibly significant. And the crazy thing about it, as we'll talk about in just a second, Becerra is doing well with independents, and that I just really can't get my brain around. There's no one that speaks well of him in the Biden administration. He was HHS Secretary, Health and Human Services. Yeah, Health and Human Services. And, you know, we played that audio for you from Ms. Hanoso. She's a CNN contributor and member of the Biden administration who said that he was incompetent. And the most damaging thing she said about him is you could ask anybody in the administration. You know, I mean, that's like I'm a pain in the ass. And there are people here who can't stand me, but I don't think Chris Burdick could come on the radio and say, you could ask anybody on their staff, everybody hates Bailey. Now, he could name a couple of names, and I'd be like, yeah, I hate them too. But not the damn entire staff. She said you could ask anybody on the cabinet, and they would tell you Javier Becerra was incompetent. That is damaging. And the only way Steve Hilton is going to pull off an upset or even get back in the ball game for that matter, and he's got to scream this. What's his only avenue, Chris Burdick, politically speaking? Steve Hilton. You're his campaign manager. What does he have to do?
Highlight the high-speed rail.
One word. Well, that helps, but one word. Starts with a D.
Starts with a D. Debate?
Debate. Got to get him on a stage. And have him answer for his work at HHS, the immigrant children that were just poorly treated and some died. Get him on just anything and everything. He was an incompetent AG. He's never been well liked. The Democratic Party really isn't supporting him because he's got such a huge lead. But this came due to a recent poll, and I tried to get our man Mark DiCamillo on today, but he's a little bit busy, so I will handle it myself. Mike Turnipseed will be here at 4 o'clock. He wrote a community voice letter to the newspaper telling the city council what they should be doing. So we'll be talking municipal government with him. Daniel Petrie cannot make it today, but we will expand on the Carolyn Levitt story. You will hear from the outgoing press secretary. And, oh, God dang it. I left my notes at home. You want to hear how I do the show? Since I was accused of phoning it in yesterday, which is like the biggest insult I've ever received in my radio career, that I phone it in, although I'm phoning it in tomorrow. I take 2 pieces of paper, okay? Just 2 random blank pieces of paper. And I get up around 7:30, and I watch Derek Jeffries and Mike Trahey's newscast from 5 to 7. Kind of speed through it, stop if there's something local, stop if there's something interesting, and I just write it down on a piece of paper. And if there's a quote, I'll write the quotes. And that's why I'm pissed, because I had a Carolyn Levitt quote that I wrote on one of those papers, and I did not bring it with you. But we do have sound of Caroline Levitt leaving. Please stand by. Nick Ragone. This ought to be interesting. I can also discuss the U.S. Amateur, which was at my home course in Marion. Outstanding. Nick Ragone is joining us tomorrow. Talk about the U.S. Amateur, which is going on at his home course. His home course is Marion. The no good son of a gun. It's one of the nicest golf courses and one of the most well-respected courses in the nation, if not the world. But we'll get into Miss Levitt's departure. And I got some sound that we're going to play in the 5. A fascinating story. Did you listen to the whole audio?
Which one?
The James Woods.
Yes. And actually, thank you for reminding me, because there's a piece of that I have to actually bleep out real quick.
Oh, is he curse?
Well, he says BS. Do I have to?
He just says BS?
Well,
he says
I have to go look into, yeah.
Yeah, you got to cut that.
Yeah,
you got to cut that. But had you ever heard that story before?
No.
Neither had I. That's why I'm just dropping it in the cast, because it's a fascinating story how literally the actor James Woods could have prevented 9/11. Not kidding. Not making that up. And the cops totally agree. You got to wait till 5 to hear it, or go back later tonight and go on YouTube and listen. We're going to play that at 5:05. But it's a fascinating story where he literally, and I was watching it last night, and that's the lead. The cop says, the interview starts with the cop saying, James Woods could have stopped 9/11. And I'm like, kid, I almost didn't watch it. I almost did not watch it, because I was like, how in the world could he have stopped? There were 3 different planes. How could he have, and I continued to listen, and it's a fascinating story, and the cops verify it. And let me know if you've heard this story before. Please let us know. I'm because I had never heard it before.
This is the thought that James Woods could have stopped this is just so random.
Crazy. Just crazy. And the main reason, I'll tease it because many of y'all are not going to be around in the 5, but he was the 2 main hijackers that ran the planes into the Twin Towers were on a plane with James Woods, and they were doing basically a rehearsal. And Woods was a little drunk, so they didn't take him seriously. He was in first class, and he said there were two guys that every time the pilot would come out of the cockpit, they'd start talking and pointing at the cockpit. And Woods said, and this is a little bushy, but nevertheless, so they just didn't look like first class candidates or first class passengers. Dressed kind of shabbily, and they were just talking back and forth. And he highlighted it, and the cops came on after they got off the plane. Because initially the flight attendants wouldn't take him seriously because he'd had a couple scotches. Because he was trying to sell, I think these guys are trying to kidnap the plane, hijack the plane. And they didn't take him seriously. And it was the two guys that ran the planes into the Twin Towers. So if they had taken him seriously, then brought the cops onto the plane and arrested these guys, perhaps it never happens. But the cop tells it much better coming up in the 5. And there's more information on the Lakers sale. You heard from Lee Steinberg, the very legendary agent who gives his opinion. It's not much different than what we speculated yesterday, that Mark Walter is in trouble with the feds. But it just depends on who you talk to. Because I heard a source last night that said it's a tax problem. Then I heard it was a source that said it might be a Dodger problem, a problem with the mechanics of how they bought the Dodgers. And that's why they're unloading the Lakers. So nobody really knows. Everybody is just speculating. And the Dodgers swept the Kansas City Royals last night as well. They should have, because they got a tough 4-game series coming up tonight with the Milwaukee Brewers. We got an opportunity to get back in this race and get out of that third position where we'd be forced to play in best of 3 or best of 5? Best of 3. That wild card first.
Yeah, wild card round, I believe, is best of 3.
And that's just scary as hell. Scary as hell. Weren't we down 2-1 last year? Or was that the year before? I know one of the 2 last years we were down 2-1.
Been the year before. I don't think you guys ever got scared last year. I think it was I got to look back at it. But
yeah, I can't remember either, but it was one of those 2 years.
We definitely weren't up on you 2-1.
We beat you guys in the 2 out of 3 last season?
Well, no, we Philly and the Dodgers played, I think, a best of 7. Or best of 5, one of the 2.
Because we got a bye last year. We didn't play in them.
No.
Did we play?
So that's what I'm saying. No, you guys definitely did not play in the wild card round last year.
So it was the year before that when we were down 2-1 to the Padres then.
I think so.
Yeah. And we came back and beat them. So a scary night last night at Dodger Stadium. You see Freddie's fall.
You know what? JR was just telling me about this, but I didn't see it.
Moogly. He's going to the railing on the first base side, which of course is the visitor side at Dodger Stadium. And he thought that he had a rail. You know, there's a rail. You see that the guys lean on to watch the ball game. First, they call it the first step. It's where most of the players watch the game. But there are avenues at the front of the dugout and the back of the dugout where the players come in and out. And Freddie didn't know that he was at the door of the back of the dugout. And he went to reach and lean on the bar, on the little thing on the dugout, and it wasn't there. And he fell down the steps. I mean, I literally just I was laying in bed and just happened to look up and jumped up you got to be kidding me. Broken rib, broken femur. Oh, don't do this to us, Freddie. And it took a minute for him to get up, and they took him out late in the innings for defensive reasons. But he says he's just really, really sore, and he's to be announced starter tonight. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We got a busy show. We'll talk about this plea arrangement that everybody's expecting to come down from the federal government on Luigi Mangione, which means that he will be sentenced to life in prison, but he will not be convicted for murder. I'm not making that up, and that's not a Bailey error. If the feds get their way and they get a plea deal and he pleads guilty, he is not going to be charged with murder. I'll explain when we come back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Thursday, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio News.
Luigi's.
Yeah. Did I forget my medicine? God damn it.
Scott Cox.
Oh, I did.
Morning 6 to 9
I brought my
a.m.
pills.
On the Friday edition of the First Look program, Lois Henry went and played ball, so we're going to talk to Bob Price. If you guys haven't heard about this Stories on the Sidewalk thing, it's fun, it's quaint, and it's quality entertainment. We're going to do that. We got news, we got traffic, we got weather, and then I'm out of here on vacation. It's all happening at 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Now that the thermometer is dipping, where would you rather be than on the patio at Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen? As I've been telling you, the misters are out there, as you all are well aware, because just about every one of you has been to Luigi's at one time or another. And I'm willing to bet that about 90, if not 95%, if not all of you have been to the warehouse next door, which has been an absolute game changer for the folks at Luigi's, whether it's a memorial event, a celebration of life, an anniversary, a charity event, whatever it is. It's an outstanding venue. Gino comes with the Chateaubriand, the chicken option, the Sacco beans. And of course, anytime I talk about Luigi's, I got to talk about the delicatessen and suggest that if you're a foodie, that's the place for you. Try some of the Luigi seasoning. I know I use it. You can see Gino use it in his little vignettes on Instagram. Check out Lynette, the best sommelier in Kern County. Try a little Italian wine. And then go have one of the best lunches you'll have at Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his longstanding and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security. For the Central Valley, that means local service including burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and custom security designed to work with business operations. Bay Alarm has real people rooted in your community looking out for your business. After 8 decades and 3 generations of family ownership, our promise is still the same. We got you. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
So the defense for Luigi Mangione went to the federal government and said he's ready to make a deal. And for reasons that I don't understand, they said, all right, let's sit down and let's make a deal. I don't know whether they had Cynthia Zimmer with them or what, or whether she now works for the federal government because she's the Monty Hall of Kern County, that's for damn sure. But there are a couple of reasons that this is important. I mean, I guess in the long scheme of things, it's not that important because one way or the other, Luigi Mangione is going to be locked up for the rest of his life. But as prison experts will tell you, federal prison is much easier and more cushier, comfortable than state prison. And the feds are not charging him with murder. That's the state's case. Okay. And the state went out of its way to try to avoid what the court is saying is about to unfold. And that's double jeopardy, where you're charged twice for the same crime. So they specifically moved up their case ahead of the federal case and charged him with murder. The feds are charging him with interstate stalking, which ended in murder. So he'll still do life in prison, but he'll do it in a federal penitentiary, which again is much cushier than state pen upstate New York. You know what I'm saying? He could end up where P. Diddy is. So this is, in some respects, it's a big deal. It's not a big deal in terms of him, getting a sweetheart deal that Cynthia Zimmer would give away, where Kevin Mays, a pimp, a human trafficker, a meth addict, and a kiddie porn expert and enthusiast gets to come out next summer. He just got sentenced a couple of weeks ago, and by this time next year, that human trafficker will be loose. So it's not a Cynthia Zimmer deal. It's not quite that sweet. At least he's going to go away for the rest of his life, but it could be cushier. And the question is, why? Here's Paul Moreau. He's an attorney and regular on Fox.
It doesn't make sense to me. What is in it for the Southern District? What is in it for the feds? Why would they cut this deal when all they have to do is sit back, let the state case play out? They'll learn everything they can about how he's going to use his defense. There's no rush here. The case, the charges will survive.
Just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And the state obviously is beside itself. The family of the fallen health worker is beside itself. I guess to the family, it means something that he be charged with murder and not simply stalking, and that he go to a state prison in New York and do his time for the rest of his freaking life. But remember, this is the case that exposed this generation and exposed where we are as a nation, where people were rooting this kid on, and he was getting fan mail and love letters and proposals. That's where we are in 2026, where a man can stalk another man because he has issues. Hit it, Chris. You didn't get it?
I don't have time. I've been here for maybe an hour besides the show.
Please stand by. She's got her hair down today.
Scared the crap out of me with that too. I was like, hey, what'd I do? I was like, God dang it. No, it'll be ready by next week for sure.
Hi, honey.
Oh God.
I don't want to
crap out of me with that. She's late.
Huh?
She's late today.
She is a little late.
She's usually gone by now.
God, if she had just waited like 4 or 5 more minutes, I could have walked with her. We've got a beautiful woman that works in our complex, and I have to say hello to her no matter where we are in the show every single day as she passes. As she passes by and ignores me, I have to say goodbye.
Girlfriend in Panema.
Yes, she is. She won't look at me. She doesn't care about RB. But I mean, I don't get it. I just, I don't know whether I'm an old man, and I say this probably every day, or it's just a new generation and a new era in America, where if you have an issue with somebody on a big scale, you kind of focus on one person. How is this guy? What was his name? Brian Thompson, I believe. I can't remember. How is he responsible for all this? And it's just a cold-blooded assassination. And there used to even be a code within criminality. You know what I'm saying? You don't shoot a man in the back. But I guess if you're going to kill somebody, what difference does it make? But there just used to be just kind of a code that you didn't, shooting somebody in the back was about as cowardice a thing as you could do. If you're going to kill me, at least have the guts to stand in front of me and kill me. Now, again, in the long run, what difference does it make? But it just goes to show. I mean, this kid stalked him and waited for him. You've seen the video, and just shot him right down on the streets of New York in the back. And it just doesn't make any sense. And we'll wait and see. Perhaps the state can get a judge to intercede in this thing and deny this plea agreement. I don't know. I heard that's what the state intends to do, but it's absolutely inexplicable. Nobody can understand it, and it's brilliant by the defense. It's an absolute brilliant deal, but very, very confusing as far as I'm concerned. All right, we're heading to the back half of the hour. Coming up, we will talk a little bit about Steve Hilton cutting into Javier Becerra's lead, and there's other things going on. Have you all seen some of the craziest video I have ever seen that's going on this week? The video of the eclipse, which obviously we've never seen in a while. What's that?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I know where you're going with this.
No, you don't. Do you? Where am I going?
With the bike and the half pipe. Have you not seen that video?
Uh-uh.
Oh, somebody lined it up perfectly in Spain where the eclipse pretty much was lined up with a half pipe, and their buddy rode their bike up and did a trick, so it looked like he was doing a trick on the eclipse.
Really?
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll show it to you.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I was like, it's pretty interesting.
You see the one with the sailboat?
Oh.
Where the sailboat is crossing and it blocks the eclipse. And they're like,
really?
no, you gotta be kidding me. It's just funny. But the other awesome video that I saw is the stuff coming out of Colombia. And you know what I don't understand? How in the world, with your house crumbling around you, can people walk around like this with their phones photographing it? I mean, literally, did you see the video? I mean, their house is crumbling down on their heads and they're photographing it as they run for the streets. Crazy.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Luigi Mangione is expected to plead guilty as early as Friday in the federal case accusing him of stalking and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, a stunning development in a case that rattled business leaders while galvanizing their critics, that according to a person familiar with the matter. The battle over the Kennedy Center's future is escalating. President Trump's allies on the board voted on Thursday to add his name to the building's facade, so it would read the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, restored and renovated by President Donald J. Trump. The plaza in front of the building would be named after Trump. On Wall Street, the Dow by 69 points, the Nasdaq rose 214, the S&P 500 advanced 50. More details at srnnews.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Rob Archer. A Bakersfield pediatrician is urging parents to follow medical research when making decisions about childhood vaccines. Dr. Niranjan Das says large studies have found no link between vaccines and autism. He says the combined MMR vaccine is about 97% effective against measles. Kern County confirmed its first measles cases in more than 20 years last week. School bus drivers are asking motorists to pay extra attention now that classes are back in session. 2 school buses were involved in crashes Wednesday afternoon. Students were aboard both buses, but no one was hurt. And the break from the heat continues. Bakersfield should reach around 95 today, about 92 tomorrow, before temperatures climb again this weekend. I'm Rob Archer in the Kern Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. Are you looking for a doctor who truly listens, someone who cares about your health and respects your time with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations? Well, it may be time to learn about QualCare IPA. QualCare IPA partners with most Medicare Advantage health plans, giving you access to a large community-based network of outstanding physicians and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Local doctors, trusted hospitals, personalized care. Medicare Advantage plans offer benefits beyond original Medicare, but understanding your options for 2026 can feel overwhelming. That's where we can help. Call 661-554-4544 today to learn more about your Medicare Advantage choices. Our knowledgeable team is ready to help you understand your coverage options and make confident decisions about your care. Again, that's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs at meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711.
First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
Again, the hoodlum kids on the bicycles. You realize that's the whole idea, right? This is a plea for attention. Every time you make a video and then you put it on social media and everybody watches it, those hoodlum kids win. Because that's all they're looking for is the views. And however dangerous and stupid a thing has to be for them to get their clicks, they're going to do it.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
I just went on my walk.
What did you do?
I am playing. We got a book show tomorrow because with the BCC membership golf match play tournament, and just match up with guys within your handicap range. So it's like 0 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 12, 12 to 16, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I told the story the week that he played his first match, that he played with a really nice man by the name of Roy. And Roy told Chris the night before they played, because it's normally one-on-one. It's just the two guys going at it. But Roy was brilliant. And he said, you know, if it's just the two of us on a Friday afternoon, we'll be waiting and sitting around. So we might as well just play 4. I'm going to bring my guy. So Chris called me. We played. And coincidentally, Roy's buddy, Mike, who came along with him, would be Chris's next opponent if Chris beat Roy. Chris did beat Roy. He was down 2 with 3 to play and went par, birdie, and made a nice bogey save because Roy just had a 2-putt on 18 to win. He hit a horrible drive right into the woods, but he hit it so far that he had a shot. And he barely got it on the green. In fact, he wasn't on the green, he was on the apron. And Roy has a great short game. And why he did not chip that ball, I do not know. I would have putted it because I have a horrible short game and I'm pretty good at putting off the green. I mean, guys give me crap because I used to putt from like literally, I'd be 10, 15 yards off the green and I would just hammer it and let it get within 5 or 6 feet. And so I thought for sure he's going to chip it, make 4, and Chris is going to lose. And instead he tried to putt it, which lets me know and Sphincter got a little tight, because he had a great short game. And he left it about 6 feet short. It was about a 30-foot putt or chip, and he left it about 6 feet short, and he missed it. He 3-putted essentially for 5. But Chris still had a 6-footer for 5 and banged it in, so they went to 1, and now it's 2 o'clock, so I had to cut out. And Chris beat him on the 1 extra hole. And so now, tomorrow, Roy's buddy Mike, who played with us in that group, is playing Chris, and Roy is coming. And I'm just really excited because I'm excited for Chris, and I'm excited that he asked me to be there with him because, golf is a mental game. And caddies, I'm like a caddy, basically. I'm not going to help him, pick clubs or anything like that. But when you're in a match, that's part of what caddies do. They're kind of like psychologists. They're kind of like coaches. And other than Alan Cornejo, I don't think there's anybody that knows Chris Zucchini's swing better than I do. I've been playing with him since the 90s, literally. And so every now and again, Chris, when he's playing badly, the only problem he has is he sways off the ball. And if you sway off the ball like this, you're screwed because now you've got to move back forward to get the club face flat and straight. And that's just luck at that point. If you swayed off the ball, you got to sway back onto it. And to hit the perfect spot is just luck. you're probably going to hit it fat because you're behind the ball. And so every now and again, I'll just tell him, because what can I tell Chris Zucchini about golf? But every now and again, I'll just say, before he hits the shot, he's picking his club, I'll say, don't sway, keep your head over the ball, keep your nose over the ball, just little things like that. And because, I mean, I felt like I was a part of the win. Because he was down two or three to play. And we were walking to the 16th hole. And I said, you dominate these holes. You own 16, 17, 18. Let's go, boy. And he made par on 16, and Roy made bogey. Then we went to, so he's down 1 with 2 to play. We go to 17. I tee off first, which I shouldn't have, but I play ready golf. If you're at the golf cart, you haven't even picked the club, and I'm standing there with the tee and the ball in my hand, I'm hitting.
Oh, no, I'm with you on that.
I'm hitting.
There's no reason to wait.
There's no reason to wait unless you made a birdie. I don't get in front of a birdie.
True.
That's bad. That's bad juju.
Yeah, that's bad juju.
I don't get in front of a birdie. But if you made par and I made bogey and you ain't ready to go, I'm going. And I hit it within 5 feet on 17. So Chris he hit it within 7 feet. We both make birdie there. So they're even going to 18. And as I said, Roy 2-putted. So and again, I know that's 6 minutes of your life that you'll never get back, because that was boring as hell, I'm sure, if you don't play golf. But nevertheless, just telling you what's going on in my life. I'm just excited because I think I'm going to LA. I believe I may not be here Monday. I think I'm going to LA Sunday. I'll expound tomorrow when I know for a fact, but it looks like my mom's going to have a procedure on Monday. I'll find out tonight, and definitely. But back to the broadcast. Steve Hilton, the Republican gubernatorial candidate, is cut into Javier Becerra's lead. It is down from 61-55, which was insurmountable, to 61-37 to 55-36. So Becerra has lost about 6 or 7 percentage points. Problem is, Hilton's only gained 1. And as I said earlier at the top of the broadcast, the idea that Becerra is winning with independents is astonishing to me. It really is. And Hilton's come out with an economic plan, and he's doing a lot of things, but I think he's doing the Steve Garvey again, because I don't see him in the Central Valley, at least not enough for me. I would think these guys, the only way a Republican can win in this one-party state, and maybe that's why the supervisors are all in favor of splitting up the most powerful, the richest state in the union. Did you hear me talk about that a little bit yesterday? Have you read about that in the news? The supervisors are about to sign off on an idea, not that they have any say, but they're going to be one of 58 counties that's going to sign off on the idea that we split California. I haven't heard anything so dumb since someone suggested that I could play senior golf on the tour. You know what I'm saying? This is about as dumb a thing. We are the most powerful, the richest, the highest electoral college votes, the most populous state in the country. We have an economy that beats most countries in the world. I think we're the 4th largest economy in the world. That ain't got nothing to do with Gavin Newsom. That's got to do with tech and Hollywood, et cetera, et cetera. And to split us up, they want to cut it right down the middle, because when I was younger in the 90s, there was talk of splitting the state north-south. Take it maybe from Fresno up and Fresno down. But now you've got Los Angeles and the Central Valley in the same state. So now what they're conjecturing is to split it down the middle and leave all the liberal communities, San Francisco, Ventura, the coast, just all that, Los Angeles, San Diego on this side, and essentially Eureka, the Central Valley, San Joaquin, blah, 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 on that side. About as dumb a thing as I've ever heard. You're going to give up the power that California has? Let's just work on, there are strong political winds coming. There are changes coming. This country, one way or the other, is not going to look the way it looks today, the way it will look in 10 years. And I don't mean aesthetically, I mean politically. There is a movement going on that's either going to be embraced, that's going to destroy the Democratic Party, and they're going to have to start all over again, or it's going to become a Democratic Socialist Party, one of the two. Meantime, on the Republican side, post-Trump, what do you think life's going to be like? It's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little different. So there are political winds that are about to change. So let's just calm our nerves. For all we know, the state could change. California could change. I find it hard to believe that even liberals are going to put up with the stupidity of how this state is run, or run down, actually. I mean, at some point, and I thought it would be now. I thought it was going to start with, to be honest with you, I thought it was going to start with Spencer Pratt. I thought that was going to be the first domino to fall, where moderates, Democrat moderates, independents, and Republicans would get together and say, enough is enough. Karen Bass is incompetent. She's proven it. She's negligent, off traipsing around in Africa while her city burns to the ground. And I thought that would be the first domino to fall. I really, truly did. And then I thought we could gain some momentum. We got Steve Hilton as part of the two top gubernatorial candidates, and then we had an opportunity to change. Well, things are going to change. We know that for a fact, because the one thing that we learned is the Democrat Party just got scared to death with Hilton getting in the top two, meaning this top two jungle primary system is dead. Dead. Why? Because they're scared to death. They don't want to see another Republican on the top two. So they are going to go back to the Republican candidate versus the Democrat candidate. You can count on that. So things are going to change. And I think with this invasion of Democratic Socialists, the number of Democrats could change. Now, are we going to see that here in California? I'm not that smart. I can't tell you that, but there is a possibility. So before we start talking about splitting our state in two, I mean, I just saying that out loud is like, no, you're kidding, right? Nobody would really think about doing that. Do you know how many states would pay to be the most populous, the state with the most electoral college votes? Are you kidding? Have an economy that we have, despite the fact that life in California isn't outstanding, still pretty damn good. Still pretty damn good. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. See anybody? Nobody's talking in the chat room. Mike Turnipseed joins us at the top of the hour. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Mr. Turnipseed has written a community voice of the Bakersfield, California, giving advice to our municipal governors on how to govern. He joins us in just a matter of minutes. Daniel Petrie gets the day off, but we will talk about the departure of Carolyn Levitt. You will hear from the former press secretary. And again, you got to hang on from 5 o'clock or go back later tonight on YouTube and hear the James Woods story of how he single-handedly, somewhat, could have stopped 9/11. And we got more information on the Lakers sale. Little League is underway, the Little League World Series. And the Dodgers start a 4-game series tonight with the Milwaukee Brewers. But in the meantime, you are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the...
Messmaker?
Loggood, chancellor of the University of California at San Francisco, was asked, can only women get pregnant? And that was asked by Representative Mary Miller. You know what? He couldn't answer it. That's what I'm talking about, because everybody listening to me right now knows that only women can get pregnant in the human race.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
No Daniel Petrie today. He'll be back with us next Thursday. Daniel Petrie from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, who joins us every Thursday at 4:30, except today, giving you advice on the economy and investments and retirement, because that's what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. And as I have redundantly told you, the smartest financial move I've ever made was about a decade ago when I became a client of Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. As I grow old and gray, I can rely on the fact that I've got some money stored away with them, along with my 401k and along with Social Security. Don't depend on just one. Invest with the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Join us every Thursday at 4:30 with Daniel Petrie on The Ralph Bailey Show, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation for advisory services by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. The program host is a client and receives compensation and other financial benefits in connection with this advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other clients.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The Crossroads of the West Gun Show is coming this weekend to the Kern County Fairgrounds in Bakersfield.
We're finding everything we're looking for, so we're impressed.
Awesome selection. Awesome. Yeah, just a lot more than I expected to see.
It's America's premier gun show with great deals on guns, ammo, scopes, accessories, and more. Sold at wholesale prices, plus jewelry, gift ideas, and door prizes.
We'll scour through, find the best bargain, come back and buy it.
Crossroads of the West Gun Show this weekend at the Kern County Fairgrounds in Bakersfield.
All sales are redempted.
You can buy, sell, and trade at all Crossroads gun shows.
In Kern County, valley fever affects more than 3,000 people each year. But together, we can change that. Join Kern County Public Health as a Valley Fever ambassador. You don't need medical experience, just a willingness to help your community stay informed. Neighbors sharing with neighbors. Coworkers looking out for each other. Be part of the solution by signing up for a 30-minute virtual training. Visit KernPublicHealth.com to learn more.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to The Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KER.
They had a tough time. You know, it's weird. You never really know the story of celebrities, and you see them with their money and their cars and their homes, and you think they're so incredibly happy. But when you look at the life of Frankie Valli, he lost his daughter. She committed suicide. He blamed himself because he was never there. You know, that's the price of fame. You know, these guys, these football players, these coaches. That's why I was shocked that Derek Carr took the UCLA job as opposed to the Fresno State job. Obviously, the UCLA job is better. It's a higher, bigger program, but he's a Fresno State graduate. He's living up there, from what I understand, and it's just more convenient for his family, unless you know he's going to move to Brentwood, and then it'll be right down the street from Westwood. But I don't know. It just seemed like a weird choice on his part. but because you're just so focused and so gone. You know, I was just reading a quote from John Wayne on his deathbed. He had one of his friends give a letter to his children, and he apologized. And one of the lines in the apology was, I worked my ass off to be a good cowboy when I should have worked my ass off on being a good father. And that must be tough on those guys, and just being away from, because I felt like that as a kid. My dad was a workaholic, and I've told you guys the only time he ever saw me play football is when I lied to him and said we needed him as our team doctor, and he barely watched even then. Anyway, 842-5376, 842-KERN. What do you got on the board?
If you're going to badmouth a guy, at least learn to say his name. His name is, and I think they mean Xavier here, not Javier, but it is Javier.
Yeah, it's Javier Becerra.
You can go to his own Facebook page and find that
And
out.
you're right. Normally, XA is pronounced X, like Xavier Cugat. The only reason I know this is because I was calling him Xavier when we first started talking about this, and one of the listeners that was in the know, as opposed to you, corrected me and said, Ralph, it's not Xavier, it's Javier. So I'm sorry, you're just wrong. And I was suggesting, we're going to call a radio show and try to show how much smarter you are than the host. You should probably be right. You know what I'm saying?
They put it in all caps multiple times.
And that's why they won't call,
No,
because then I confront them and I say, you're wrong, and they look stupid. Now he's in his mom's basement. He doesn't care. But no, you could not be more wrong. What else you got? Anything correct in there?
Let's see. This one might be. Ralph, unfortunately, the Dodgers could be sold within the next 2 years. It's not a tax issue. The IRS would be on it. It's the SEC checking his books.
Well, then how do you come to the conclusion that he'd be forced to sell the Dodgers?
Well, again, it really just depends, because the allegations that I have heard is all of the money that the Dodgers have been using to pay players might be connected to this somehow. Again, I think they're right in terms that Walter might have to sell his ownership of it. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, though.
And I don't think it'll have any impact on the Dodgers.
No.
Mark Walter is not the genius of the Dodgers. The genius of the Dodgers is Andrew Friedkin, it's Stan Kasten, it's the management. Now, Mark Walter is responsible for putting that together, I suppose, as the owner, or signing off on it. But he doesn't really have any impact on the day-to-day transgressions of the ball club any more than Jerry Buss did of the Lakers. The Lakers were great because Jerry West was an incredible general manager who saw a young high school kid out of Marion, Pennsylvania, and said, we got to sign this kid, send Vlade to Charlotte, let's get the 17-year-old kid. He was smart enough to see this kid playing at Michigan State as a sophomore, who a lot of people, it's funny, we rewrite history when somebody changes the arc of their life. The reality is, when Magic Johnson was a sophomore and had just won against Indiana State, against Larry Bird, a lot of folks were like, dude, he's not the answer. Because when Magic was a sophomore, and even like the first 2, 3, 4 years of his career, Magic was Ralph Bailey. Like, I had a nice little set shot when I was in high school, but no one ever taught me how to shoot a jump shot where you jump at your peak and you let it go at the peak of your jump. If I'm wide open, like I'm like these WNBA girls, if I was wide open and could just shoot it like a free throw, I was 55% from the floor. If I was one-on-one and a guy was in my face and I had to jump over him and shoot, I was probably 35% from the floor. And so anything else left in there?
Yeah, I got a couple more here. Not only do I wish California could split in two based on political physiology, I wish the nation could be as well. Let's see which side thrives. That is a dangerous thought process.
It really is. It's silly as hell. It's silly as hell. We've damaged our state, I grant you. It's been run by Democrats. For how long? My whole life, primarily. We've had a couple of Republican governors in my lifetime, but not many. What, Deukmejian, Arnold, Pete Wilson, Ronald Reagan. Reagan's a little before my time, but splitting up the most populous state with the most electoral colleges with the economy of a country is plain stupidity. And is that where we are now, where we want to split up our state because of politics? That is. So we want to create a red state, basically. But you don't care about the power and the prestige that comes along with being part of California. And you want to have to cross state line to go to the beach. Is that what you're saying? Have you thought about that? What if the liberal side of our state we get into a war with them, and they're like, well, we're going to charge you to come into our state. You want to go to Ventura? You want to go to Santa Monica Pier? You want to go to Palos Verdes? You're going to have to pay us a little entry fee or excise tax or whatever. I'm telling you, I can't even say it out loud. Splitting up California is about as stupid a thing as I have ever heard in my life. God. And to give the liberals the coast, to let them take the whole most beautiful part of the state, you people have lost your minds. I'm not giving up Palos Verdes. I'm not giving up Malibu. What's the matter with you? Quick time out. We head into the 4. Mike Turnipseed is live in studio. I'm not kidding.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield. An American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A different aircraft carrier heads toward the Mideast after reports of issues on the USS Abraham Lincoln.
The Navy says the USS George Washington aircraft carrier is leaving Vietnam and heading toward the Middle East, amid reports of mental health and supply issues aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln's one of 2 U.S. carriers in the Middle East. It set a record for uninterrupted time at sea during its deployment in support of the Iran war. CNN, the Military Times, and other outlets have reported more than one sailor has attempted to jump overboard, and families of service members conveyed complaints of low morale and supply issues. The Navy acknowledges the war has disrupted access to traditional supply hubs in the region and says that led to shortages, which are now being addressed by leadership. Several Democratic lawmakers are calling for greater transparency. I'm Jennifer King.
Michael Brennan with the National Hurricane Center says they are issuing advisories on Tropical Storm Lala as it heads toward Alaska.
The forecast track has not really changed too much. We're expecting Lala to move generally west-northwestward over the next several days, bringing the center of the storm near or over the Big Island of Hawaii during the day on Saturday. We have now issued a hurricane watch for the Big Island. That means hurricane conditions are possible there within the next 48 hours.
The battle over the Kennedy Center's future is escalating. President Donald Trump's allies on the board voted on Thursday to add his name to the building's facade so it would read the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, restored and renovated by President.
People get what they want. They don't know
In May, that Trump's name was added illegally to the building. On Wall Street, the Dow by 69 points. The Nasdaq rose 214, with the S&P 500 advancing by 50 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Willie Robertson.
And I'm Corey Robertson.
We partnered with Echo. It's a new platform, not just streaming.
Movies and series that are safe for your family. I love a podcast.
Plus, Echo Daily Devotionals.
Echo. Hey, Willie, what is Echo?
Echo is not pet school. Echo is not just faith-friendly, it is faith-driven.
Be a part of something better.
Echo.
Echo.
Where I want to be.
That's EKKL.com.
Subscribe now.
The military, the mission was clear. You knew what to do. Now, the mission has changed. Stepping into civilian life isn't about finding a job. It's finding your purpose.
I wanted a career that would leverage the skills and discipline I gained in the military. IT just felt right.
My Computer Career offers class schedules that fit into your life and skills in high demand. Put your VA benefits to work. Visit mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to jumpstart your IT career today. An elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
A Bakersfield doctor says parents should look at medical research and not politics when making decisions about childhood vaccines. I'm Rob Archer. Dr. Niranjan Das of Pediatrics for All says large studies have found no connection between vaccines and autism. He says the combined MMR vaccine is about 97% effective at preventing measles. The Trump administration is moving toward making separate measles, mumps, and rubella shots available while keeping the combined vaccine as an option. Das worries separating the shots could lead some children to miss follow-up doses. Kern County confirmed its first measles cases in more than 20 years last week. School bus drivers are asking motorists to pay extra attention now that thousands of Kern County students are back in class. 2 school buses were involved in crashes Wednesday afternoon. One was near Sierra Middle School. The other happened on Allen Road south of Rosedale Highway. Students were aboard both buses, but no one was hurt. Drivers are reminded that yellow flashing lights means a bus is getting ready to stop. Red flashing lights and the extended stop sign mean traffic generally has to stop in both directions. Bus drivers say motorists running those red lights remain one of their biggest safety concerns. The Highway Patrol is planning a DUI and driver license checkpoint Saturday night. It's going to run from 6 in the evening until 2 Sunday morning somewhere in an unincorporated area of Bakersfield. Officers will be checking for drivers under the influence of alcohol or drugs, along with valid licenses. After days of triple-digit temperatures, Bakersfield is getting a break. The high today should be around 95. Friday, around 92. Temperatures begin climbing again this weekend. I'm Rob Archer in the Kern Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest of in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want. Too late. They start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make them an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Thursday, 13th day of August. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at KernRadio.com. Daniel Petrie has the day off. He won't be with us at the bottom of the hour, but we'll talk about Carolyn Levitt's departure. You will hear from the former press secretary. And then coming up at the 5, we'll hear the James Woods story from a police officer who has verified that James Woods, yes, the actor, could have stopped 9/11. I know that sounds crazy, but wait till you hear this story. We'll talk more about the Lakers sale. The Dodgers open up a 4-game series tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers. And the Little League World Series is underway. One of my favorite times of the year, as most of you know, loyal listeners. I was in my 20s, started as an umpire, then as a coach, and ultimately was the president of Inglewood Little League for 3 years. And I absolutely loved it. I really did. It was a bizarre time because some of the parents kind of looked at me oddly, like, what's a 25-year-old man with no children out here? But then I slowly and surely became beloved. Meantime, it's a Thursday. On and on, same time. That's a great song.
Giant fan.
Up and down the book. Is this the Giant song?
Yeah, it used to be.
Oh, I'll never sing that again.
I haven't been a Giant game in 3 or 4 years,
But it used to be, yes. When they were winning 3 World Series.
So many years ago.
It was.
So many moons ago.
Yep.
So many years ago. What's really going on? I read your community voice today. That was well written.
Well, thank you.
And had a very poignant point. Share it with us.
Well, I've been writing a lot. I've been writing a lot more because it's easier now to do research.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really kind of to get facts. I ask a question.
Michael, speak into the microphone.
I ask a question and I can get answers, and it gives me facts, and it gives me the source. It gives me everything that I need through research instead of me hunting and pecking like I would have had to do 2-3 years ago.
Can you imagine how easy high school would be for us nowadays? That'll
be a problem in high school.
Those of us who had to go upstairs and get the encyclopedias or had to go remember microfiche? Remember that? That was a big part of research in the library.
In the libraries, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, shoot.
College, not high school, though.
Both.
I didn't do it in high school. We didn't do it in high school.
No. Yeah, we had a little.
I went to Delano. Come on.
Okay. But what did you warn the council?
Well, I've written a number of letters on the city ever since we thought the sewer problem and everything.
Right.
So since the filing date was done, the last candidates are in. I wrote one called "What Bakersfield Should Demand of Its Next Council." And when you start thinking about this, who's out there and what's doing, it's first of all, and I came up with 6 or 7 things, is fiscal literacy. It is absolutely any council member that votes for a budget that is not structurally sound. Structurally sound means you spend the total revenue you get each year in your budget. Now, you use your reserves and any carryover money for one-time projects. You don't spend it on ongoing projects.
Right.
That's a very big thing about finance. And there's just quite a bit of that in this year's city council budget. But that's what the council wanted. And we really need to get a council that's fiscally literate, because fiscally responsible people, you have to make the cuts sooner or later. If you don't make them this year, you're going to have to cut twice as much next year down the road, and that's what's going to happen.
And that's why Cassie Biddle is such a fine choice for Ward 3, because she is a businesswoman. And isn't that what we want?
She is.
We want somebody who signed both sides of the check. You know what I'm saying?
It does, and you don't need to be an accountant.
No, she's not.
There's more to finance than keeping the books.
Right.
And that's another problem the city's had for the last 4 years. They can't even get their annual reports done. Measure in annual reports haven't come out in a while. They don't do anything that's accountable to say, okay, the city of Bakersfield measures what it does by how much money it spends.
Right.
Oh, we spent $10 million on homelessness.
Yeah.
So
what does that mean?
What do you accomplish?
Yeah.
Homelessness is still homelessness, and they're still on the ground. And if people say there's not a homeless problem downtown,
you haven't been downtown.
I am in the Crest building now. I got an email today, and every tenant's got a key to get in the front doors, and literally, if you're going to have anything that's after hours, like my leadership class, they want me to provide a security guard at night, even though we lock the doors and do all that.
Right.
You have to hire somebody there to watch the building. And I'm going, what? I said, I will open the door and close the door, but I'm not going to pay a security guard to be there for 18 classes. That's ridiculous. But it's because the problems downtown are so bad that the city isn't acknowledging. And that's just another thing. But it's also having a council. You watch the council meetings on TV. They don't ever ask questions. Why? What are we doing? Why? Give me a good example. Is there a better way to do it? You don't hear those kind of discussions.
See, so now you understand why I gave you such a hard time last week about who really runs the city. And I don't believe the Seven Dwarfs have anything to do with it. I think they come in there with their pet projects, and that's what they want to get forward. But there's no forward thinking in our municipal government. In other words, most major cities have a layout of how they're going to spend money and what they're going to do for the next 3 to 5 years. It seems to me that we do it like on a daily basis. Like, what are we going to do today? And then what are we going to do tomorrow? As opposed to forward thinking and laying out some kind of plan that looks toward the future.
If you look at the council goals, the budget starts with the council goals and objectives. They decide where to spend the money. That's the foundation of the budget. We want to emphasize this, we want to emphasize that, and staff follows that. And so they craft a budget that follows the goals and outcomes. No, the council doesn't have outcomes. They just count money. They count what Bakersfield does in dollars. You ask about what are we doing about the homeless? Well, we spend $12 million a year.
Yeah.
The outcomes, comes out the back end, we never discuss that because that's part of a council's responsibility. It's one thing, there was a discussion at one time at the state legislature. You do a 2-year budget. The first year you create the budget, and the second year all you do is audit it, see what you're doing, what's working, what's not working.
Yeah.
The council spends virtually no time discussing what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And why it didn't work and where we do better. They don't have those kind of discussions.
Instead of have a theory that the ends justifies the means, they're going at it. The means justifies the money. That's
their pet projects justify the money.
Yes, it's crazy, and that's a great point. That would ask, "What are you doing?" They just raise dollar signs. Well, we're spending this and we're spending that. That doesn't tell me anything. That doesn't accomplish anything. California spends more money on education than just about any state in the union, and yet Mississippi kids are getting a better education than in California. Is that crazy? Because I have for years denigrated Mississippi as one of the dumbest states and one of the poorest states and just the place you don't want to be. And lo and behold, 10, 15 years later, their educational system is better than ours. That's crazy.
Their third grade reading scores, which are the kind of a benchmark people
the foundation.
Because
if you haven't figured it out by third grade, you ain't gonna figure it out.
There's a saying, from kindergarten to third grade, you learn to read. So fourth grade, you can read to learn.
Exactly. That's when you begin creating a vocabulary in fourth and fifth grade after you've learned to read. If you're still struggling, I've got some audio that I might play a little bit later from a teacher who is in tears. He is in tears doing a podcast, a singular monologue. And he says, I'm retiring. I can't do it anymore because I'm graduating children who literally don't know how to read or write. And we're just forwarding these kids. And you know what they're doing now in college? Because you know what the most populated class in most colleges are remedial math and English classes.
Oh, I thought it was underwater basket weaving.
No. It's remedial classes because these freshmen don't know how to count and can't write. Let me finish real quick. So what the University of Michigan is doing and other state schools are doing is for your first freshman year, your first year, pass or fail.
I just saw
no grades.
Michigan did that.
No grades, just pass or fail. That's how bad it's become.
Well, the University of California, they got rid of the SATs and the ACTs, 3-4 years ago. The faculty, the faculty senates have voted go back to, because the kids that are coming are not trained. There's a difference when you go to a University of California than if you go to Bakersfield College or Cal State Bakersfield or any of the CSUs. They by design, they've always attracted the upper 10%. That was their market. You want to be really bright, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, so you have to come there with certain standards, and so they're not doing remedial education.
Right.
UCs were not designed to provide algebra and seventh grade English.
Right.
And so the systems are starting to go back. For the UC to go back and say, we need tests. And of course, it comes out right away. Well, that means that these people won't be able to get in. Well, part of the university system and the master plan that they had was,
which is antiquated, by the way.
Well,
but anyway,
you
go
can
ahead.
say it's antiquated, but
it's older than I am.
They were designed for different jobs. If you look at the CSU system, it was a job development thing. You develop nurses, teachers, accountants. You're not designing rocket scientists. I mean, they're there to teach you to meet the workforce demands of the state that goes beyond high school. You look at the biggest things: basic engineering, nursing, teachers. Like I said, that's what the CSU system was for, and they functioned pretty damn well for about 50 years. And we've gotten kind of away from that. Well, everybody wants to go to a UC because it's a UC, but the fact is that, okay, and so the kids who get 1,600 on the SAT, you get an 800 on the SAT, and you're in the same class. And you got to compete with them in the class. And they still give A's, B's, and C's and D's.
Yeah.
So
I'm on the fence about the SAT because I've told this story before. I had a couple of guys in my neighborhood who went to Inglewood High School, and I was lucky enough to go to a private school.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Walker was smarter than I was, but he wasn't as educated as I was, because at Brentwood, we had SAT classes. We had SAT tutelage. They offered it 2 hours on Saturdays for like a month, where you could go and they would give you tips on how to take the test.
Yes.
Like just simple things that you would never know if you went to a public school. Like, for example, it is better to leave the bubble empty than to guess. And I was taught that. And if you're in an Inglewood Unified School District, they're not teaching you that. So when you get on the test and you have no idea, you're just guessing and you don't even realize you're hurting yourself. It's better just to skip it and leave it blank than to just make a stupid guess.
Well, I
Just
graduated from
and that's
Delano
just-
High
that's
School
just
55
one.
years ago, and we did not have any of that.
That's what I'm saying. And that's just one. That's just one tiny little element. I mean, they teach you how to do the reading summations. One of the great gifts I got was they taught us to read the questions first and then read the essay. Because if you read the questions first, as you're reading, you'll be like, oh, I just saw that. Okay.
Yes.
And see, just little things like that, which makes it unfair, makes it completely unfair, in my opinion. But I think it's important. It helped my ass out, I'll tell you that.
Well, it was just the reverse of you, because I got a really good math score.
Yeah. See, I got a horrendous math score.
I think it was like 690 or 700, right
See,
around there.
That's what I got on the English.
And then I got on English, I had a 500. I got to 12.
We are exact opposites. I got a 480. You got a 500 on the English?
Yep. That's not my strong point.
You're illiterate. How the hell did you write
But,
this?
all right.
Your wife wrote that. Your wife wrote that Community Voice.
I took, and we used to have in the old day, it was called bonehead English. It was remedial English because you needed to get 550 on the SAT to go in English 1.
Wow.
And they had that in those old days. Well, English was not I didn't really care, but math and science was where I did well.
I have never understood what is so hard about the English language. What is so difficult?
It's just, I didn't really like to read. I really didn't like to write. That was just, high school English, and you're reading, like we used to have British stuff. We read some British stuff in like sophomore year, and
see, again,
I didn't really care about that.
Again, the virtue of private education. I meet Ed Skelly when I'm in 7th and 8th grade, and I just coming out of, Cerritos Joe A. Gonzalez Elementary, and I'm spending the night at his house one night, and he starts reading. And I go, dude, it's summer. Why are you reading? And he goes,
smart.
Because I like to read, Ralph. You don't read? And he embarrassed me so that I started reading. And I would stay at their house. He lived 2 blocks from our school, which was 45 minutes from my house. So one day, Mrs. Skelly saw me at like 7:30 at night. Ed had left his book at school, and they were coming up to get Ed's book, and they saw me at the guard shack. Mrs. Skelly was like, "What are you doing here at 7:30 at night?" So I'm waiting for my dad to pick me up. And I said, "No, you're not doing this anymore. He can pick you up at our house. We're 2 blocks from the house." And I'd be waiting there, and they'd be having dinner. My mother would say, "You can do it, but don't you eat dinner at those people's house. Don't you make them think I don't feed you." And so I would sit. I swear to God, that's what she'd say. And I would sit, Mr. Skelly, who was a president of the Burbank Law Association, and I started reading Dashiell Hammett mystery books and got hooked. And then I got hooked on Agatha Christie. And then that's when my vocabulary started to improve. And had it not been for Ed Skelly, there's no way I get a 690 on the English. I'm telling you, I'm just extolling the virtues of private education. Just saying.
No, it's different. It's more focused, I think, and I think parents are just more involved.
Yeah, because they got skin in the game. I told you the story when I was in 6th grade. I did half my 6th grade at Buckley. They plucked me out of Joey Gonzalez halfway through my 6th grade, threw me in this private education school in Sherman Oaks. And after the 6th grade year, you go across the street to the 7th to the 12th grade year. And my dad went to pay, and they said, "You should save your money because Ralph will never survive on that side. His best grade is a C+, Dr. Bailey. He's never going to survive on the other side." And my dad got in the car and was just like, "They say you can't cut it. Is that right?" And I said, I can cut it. I haven't been trying. I'll put in some effort, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Always good to talk to you. You can hang out. Mr. Petrie's not here.
I know where else to go.
All right, hang around. We'll check the board, see what's going on with you guys, and then 4:30, Mr. Turnipseed and I will re-begin our discussion. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to the city. We'll do that next, right here on the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 9.
A lot of signs out there. Kathy's doing both injustice because I see nothing but Halligan or whatever the fuck signs everywhere. She's got a van or a truck that goes around with a thing on the side. Mm-hmm. And I just think they're going to split the Republican vote. The Democrats are going to win. You know who's going to win? No, I just turned it down.
Howling will be another thing. I talked to her. She's asking questions. She thinks she's a genius because she's a rookie. If you read, I specifically said, you gotta understand money. Yeah. It's not keeping the book. Anybody can keep books. Yeah. So that's going to be but you gotta remember, there are still Democrats in that.
That's what I'm saying. I think the Democrats are going to win. I think they're going to. I think Kathy split the vote.
But there's 2 of them. I don't think
There's
4 or there 5 now.
There's 4.
Well, there's one more. Seth Field got in. And he's going to be a young guy, door to door. Third district. Seth Field. Talk to him today. He's 26 years old.
You think he'll get some play?
We're going to see. I will tell you, he is a very, very bright young man. Very smart, and very active. I know
You're interested to
it is.
Being interested, I'm turning the volume back.
And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his long-standing and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2299. 9898.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
842-5376, 842-KERN. Let's read a couple text messages real quick. What do you got?
Hey, Ralph, what do you think the reason Caroline is leaving because she felt betrayed by Trump or because he left her on the plane?
I don't think she was on the plane. Carolyn Levitt was on the plane? You can talk, Mike. Everybody knows you're here.
No, you were talking. So, I heard she was one of the people on the plane with Rubio and
Bessent. And the other guys?
Yes.
Really? I didn't know that. I just saw Rubio and Bessent.
She must have a hell of a nanny.
I certainly would have resigned had I been played for a dupe for the president of the United States. I just don't understand that. I mean, as I've talked about all week, playing fast and loose and hiding the president when he travels, particularly in the Middle East, is nothing new. They did it with Obama. They did it with Clinton. The most famous is 9/11 with George Bush, when they went and hid out either in Arkansas or Louisiana at a military base, and George Bush insisted that they go back to the White House. So that's not anything new. But to deem a plane unsafe for the president, sneak him off that plane, leave senior White House officials, Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the entire White House press corps, including a young lady that used to work in this community, Terry Gannon's daughter, is inexcusable. Quick timeout, back half of the hour. Don't go anywhere.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Pacific-based aircraft carrier USS George Washington has begun heading toward the Middle East as reports have emerged of mental health and supply issues aboard the long-deployed USS Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln has been supporting the U.S. war against Iran, and its deployment has included a record-setting uninterrupted time at sea of more than 240 days. Luigi Mangione is expected to plead guilty as early as Friday in the federal case accusing him of stalking and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, a stunning development in a case that has rattled business leaders while galvanizing their critics. On Wall Street, the Dow by 69 points, the Nasdaq rose 214, the S&P advanced 50. More details at srnnews.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Rob Archer. 2 school buses were involved in crashes on the first day of school in Bakersfield, but no one was hurt. One happened near Sierra Middle School. The second happened on Allen Road, south of Rosedale Highway, where the CHP says a 77-year-old woman made an unsafe turn and hit a bus carrying 5 students, an aide and the driver. Bus drivers are reminding everyone to slow down around school buses. Yellow flashing lights mean the bus is getting ready to stop. Where the red lights are flashing and the stop arm is out, traffic generally has to stop. The Highway Patrol will hold a DUI and driver license checkpoint Saturday night somewhere in an unincorporated part of Bakersfield. And Bakersfield should reach only about 95 this afternoon, with Friday even cooler. I'm Rob Archer in the Kern newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
if you're a local businessman and you take your IT seriously, there are two things that you absolutely need to do. One, you need to listen to the Ralph Bailey Show on Wednesdays at 3:30 when Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, come in, basically talking to business folks on what you should be looking for, what should be alarm bells when people are coming back and fixing the same thing over and over again. And the next thing you need to do is pick up the phone and call the Van Alstynes at Adaptive Networks at 241-0638. 241-0638. As I have talked about so often, we have teamed up for almost a year with American General Media and Adaptive Networks because as a radio station, we absolutely depend on our IT. So we had to go to a team that was reliable, competent, and has the best customer service in Kern County. If you're a serious business person, call the folks at Adaptive Networks at 241-0638 or hit them online at adaptive-net.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
Valley Plaza Mall has introduced a new preferred parking program to give shoppers the option of having a guaranteed upfront parking space in a section of the parking lot for a fee. And by the way, this is taken off all across the country. You want to park up close, you can, but you're going to have to pay for it.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
In the back half of the hour, Daniel Petrie has the day off, so Mr. Turnipseed is stuck around with us. What else is going on, Michael?
Well, when we talk about the city,
see the SEIU is suing them over the sewer deal as well.
I heard they joined the county on the suit. Yes.
Yep. So incompetent. So incompetent.
That's a judge's decision. I don't think it's going to take. They're going to argue the case. And the judge is going to make a decision. It should not be anything that's drug out very long.
No, I don't think so either.
And they have a judge some judges kind of specialize in this kind of government financial stuff. And I think that they will come back with a decision whether they actually followed Prop 218 or not. But there's one of the questions, especially if you run into these people, I've worked on an article, I have it, and I have a draft called 10 Questions to Ask Before You Hand Anyone $1 billion. Because Bakersfield City has $1 billion budget.
Do we really?
$978 million is trying to year.
Wow.
It's $1 billion.
Wow, it's crazy. I did not know that.
And because watching what's gone on the last few years at the council, they're not asking the tough questions. We don't pay them, and we give them in health insurance, and we give them a car allowance, and we give them a cell phone, and we give them a few things, but it's not like they're invested in knowing how the city operates.
Why do you think I have been complaining as long as I've been on radio that we need to change the charter and make them full-time? Exactly, for the very reason you just cited. Make them have some skin in the game. Make this be their job. But to think that we have a city council where their job is like a hobby, it's part-time, it is insane. The 9th largest city in the most populous state in the country, and we got a part-time council. Crazy.
But my point of view is leaning to pay them because maybe voters, if you're paying guys, what is it, $50 a month?
Right. There's a different attitude.
There's a different attitude.
There is. There totally is.
Really give a damn. I mean, $50 a month, although it's a lot more than that. But
with the perks,
the perks are a lot more than that. It's probably closer to $20,000 a year. But that's still not a great amount of money. But my point is, will it change how voters think about how the races? I'm paying this guy $80,000. I'm paying him whatever they're going to end up paying him, $60, $80, $100,000 to be city council people. Are we going to actually get people who are going to do the job that needs to be done?
The main reason I think it's a positive, because I think the races would be more competitive. I think if you paid these people, no matter what you paid them, there's no way in the world somebody would run unopposed. Now, granted, you're going to have I'm not going to name any names, but I think you know who I'm talking about. The guys that run for everything and every time and have never won anything. And you're going to have that group, and you're going to have this kind of a group of wackos if you put a $75,000 or $80,000 salary on this thing. But I think in the end of the day, you're going to get a quality product because of the very same reason you're implying, that if we see that it's a full-time gig, perhaps the electorate, the constituents, will see that they've got skin in the game, that it's an investment, that it's their job. They're not just showing up at 3, 4 in the afternoon, but they're in their office at 9 o'clock, and you can go see them, or you can go call them, or you can get a hold of their staff, because you know what I'm saying?
They have staff.
And have an active mayor who can lay out the vision for the city and go to the city manager and have him enact it.
Which takes you to the next thing.
Would you speak on the microphone, please?
I am. I'm right here. Which is the next thing is, if you're going to go to a paid council, I think you need to go to a strong mayor.
Yes, that's what
it goes together.
Exactly.
It goes together. You have to have the CEO mentality of not just doing the gavel and letting you talk for 2 minutes and voting once a year. You need to break a tie. But that needs to be seriously considered, and I don't know how bad it has to get before people realize that we need a serious upgrade in the system.
Because
the system dictates what we have.
Right. And we get these ceremonial mayors. As beloved as Harvey Hall was, and as great a ceremonial mayor as he was, same thing with Karen Go. They're brilliant ceremonial mayors.
Yes.
Because they have the same qualities. They both go to everything. And they're both the biggest cheerleaders of Bakersfield. But we need somebody who is going to give direction and vision to this community. And I think you pay the mayor $100,000, you pay the council $75,000 a year, and I think you're going to get quality, serious people that don't want to do this as just kind of a side gig, but who want to do this because they think they can change the community. And so they want to dedicate their entire life instead of having a job and then, oh, by the way, I got to go to a city council meeting. Well, your job is city council.
Everybody on the city council thinks they are changing Bakersfield for the better. But look back 30 years, Bakersfield in many ways is not much different except more people than we had 30 years ago. We still have many of the same problems that have not been fixed.
And the problems that we had that were created back in those days have now been exacerbated. The pension problems, obviously the
investment problems. Yes.
We can't talk at the same time. The infrastructure. I mean, these problems were all just like molehills when I first got here 32 years ago. And now they're Mount Kilimanjaro. You know what I'm saying?
Well, when you you're 4 times bigger than you were 30 years ago.
Yeah.
4 times.
Crazy.
So your problems aren't 4 times bigger. They're 16 times bigger.
Right.
Having these people. And it's just, we have to change the culture of the city, which means there really needs to be, and you talk about it, there needs to be community education, that you're not going to have the city you want until you start electing people who understand how to fix things.
Yeah.
Their job is to look at the problems of the city and within a year or 2 fix them.
Yeah. The city
not
council,
just kicking them down the road, fix them now. Because the road problem down the road is going to be 4 times as much. It quadruples. It goes geometrically bigger.
The city council now is simply a stepping stone to wherever you want to go politically. whether it's the Board of Supervisors or the Assembly or whatever. That's all it is. You saw Manpreet Kaur take a shot, Andre Gonzalez. How many of our supervisors have come from the city council? I mean, it's just a mere stepping stone, and that's its function. I believe that. Now, there are exceptions. I think David Couches was an exception as a city councilman. I thought Kevin McDermott was an exception back in the day, but he got ran out because of what was the issue? They were annexation, where I literally interviewed my high school football coach's wife, who was part of that, in a live shot downtown. That was surreal. I met Mrs. Fowler because she was on the elementary side. So I met her before I met Coach Fowler in 9th, 10th grade. She was on the elementary side, and she was an administrator on and so I've known her since 6th grade, literally. And here now I am with a microphone in her face as she's angrily talking about annexation. It was literally surreal for me.
And literally, she and a couple other ladies would come to the city council
every night
for like how many years? 5 years?
And they drove Kevin McDermott off the city council.
But they were to read poetry or something. They'd read everything just to antagonize the city council.
Yeah. Mike Turnipseed's our guest. He's hanging around because Daniel Petrie could be with us today. I wanted to talk to you about the county and this idea of splitting the state. Am I wrong that this is about as idiotic as it gets?
The chance of it happens is probably 1,000,000 to 1.
Good. But just the conception of splitting up the most powerful, the most economic, the most populous, the most electoral college state in the union, you want to split that up? And then they want to split up and give the coast to the liberals.
Well, this proposal that they have it'd be West and East California versus North and South.
Because remember, a couple of years back, it was always North-South.
Always
they wanted to
North-South,
divide it.
and the line was generally Kern County.
Yep. Or Fresno.
So Kern County would be with LA, Orange, San Diego, money. And you know what? The agricultural interests, the ports, we have the LA and Long Beach port versus going to Oakland, which is a much smaller port. I mean, the economic, that made a whole lot more sense than this skinny line. But people in Sacramento are smart. That line up the coast, you look at the map that they put out, it's one county in until it gets to the Bay Area. And then it nudges out and takes in Sacramento County and comes back in and gets Napa. So they protected them. Napa and the smart ones and then it goes all the way up, takes in Humboldt, and leaves Del Norte.
Nice.
The one up on the Oregon border, the last little tiny county, which is nothing. It doesn't have a port. It doesn't have anything. It makes.
So am I wrong to say it's stupid?
It is absolutely. It will absolutely. When you look at where the economic wealth is and where the money comes from, the valley in Eastern California, top to bottom, they all receive benefit of the coast because the coast is where the money is.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. I mean, they're going to have 15 times the money on the coast than we have over here.
Right.
And the economy, and we have 15 times the needs here in the valley because we have more disadvantaged people and all the issues the valley has.
Unemployment, homelessness.
Well, the coast has homelessness too, but
they don't have unemployment that we have.
They don't have the unemployment.
Have you seen that? Did you listen to the show yesterday when I broke down the top 10 highest unemployment cities in the nation? I believe 6 of the top 10 are in California, and we are 4th. You believe that? In the nation.
Yeah.
It's like, I think we're 8.8, and that's 4th. And what I said, whatever day it was it yesterday or the day before? I said, well, it's a good thing they didn't count counties, because we'd probably be 1st if they counted counties. Because don't we have some communities like Wasco and Lamont, Arvin that have like 15, 20% unemployment?
This has been the case that, you know, we used to talk about being Appalachia.
Yeah.
The poorest congressional district in the United States is David Valadez.
Is that right? No.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. It used to when he first got elected that time. So it's been 10 years.
In the state or the nation?
No, the nation.
That's crazy.
There's nothing, I mean,
Poorer than Mississippi or Alabama or West Virginia? That's frightening.
It was frightening, but when you look at the number at the time, you look at the numbers of people who are on assistance, people on this. We have a tremendous amount. Kings and Tulare counties are worse off than we are.
Yeah, true.
And so that's a good part of Valadeo's district. And and then actually the second worst was the poorest of poor district in New York City.
Yeah.
Where Harlem is or whatever that worst.
Harlem. Harlem's doing well.
Not anymore, but
Yeah,
I mean,
say,
it used to be, there's a congressional district in Harlem in New York City that was second.
Bill Clinton has an office in Harlem. Do you remember that when he left office?
When I went to New York City, I said, I want to tour of Harlem just to drive around. Because you remember Harlem used to be a booming place.
Oh, yeah, boy. Oh, yeah.
And yet the theaters and stuff there, and driving around and looking. And
that's why there are a portion of Black Americans, and my late grandfather was one of them, who believe, in fact, I got into an argument with somebody whose name I won't mention because they're no longer fans of mine, but there's a portion of the Black community that believes that desegregation was the worst thing ever happened to Black folks. Because before we desegregated, we had our own businesses. The liquor store was owned by a Black man. The cleaners was owned by a Black man, and boop, 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 boop. And now that's just not the case. You go into the hood. I mean, I know from the 80s and the 90s, working in South Central, the grocery stores, the 7-Elevens, there's not a Black owner in South Central. It's Koreans, it's Sikhs, and we did it. I did one of the best stories I ever did in my journalism career, and I came up with this idea because I just was freaked out that these Koreans were making this money and just taking it, and so we fictitiously spent $1 and followed it for a day. And so what I did was I interviewed the shop owners, and I said, "When do you make your deposits?" And they were like, "Oh, that night. I don't leave money. I'm not going to leave money in this place." And we basically, the story said, if $1 is spent on the corner of 43rd and Central at 9 a.m., that $1 is in a Sherman Oaks bank by 5 o'clock. In other words, the money that you all are investing in your own community leaves your community by sundown. It's a great story. Great story. Got picked up by UPI, which I don't think even exists any longer.
But look at the change in our lifetime. The explosion of what I call corporate America. There were local grocery stores.
Yeah.
You know, even in the poor community now, you see food for less. I mean, you see these new discount stores, but they're national, they're chains, they're not local. The hardware store, every town used to have, in Delano, we had a local hardware store. You know, you had a local theater.
Right.
And now everything is chains.
Yeah.
Chains, corporate chains.
Yeah.
And it's just changed the whole. And so you had families that own those businesses that don't own those businesses anymore.
Yep, you're
and
right.
The money leaves the town. It's just like Kern County. One of the problems that we have when we compare ourselves to like Pittsburgh, and I use Pittsburgh because the steel industry declined, just like the same thing here. The Carnegie, the Mellons, the Rockefellers who made all that money in the steel business in Pennsylvania. They spent money there. They invested things. There's Carnegie Mellon University. We just did not follow that model. So even when it got bad, which it got really bad in Pittsburgh for a number of years after steel mills closed, they had these institutions that came back and provided the leadership to rebuild Pittsburgh.
Yeah, absolutely
and that infrastructure we don't have here.
Always good to talk to you, sir. Appreciate it. Let's do lunch this Saturday since I'm not playing golf. Let's go to Luigi's.
Whatever. We'll think about it.
All right. Let me know.
Let me know. Yeah.
Mike Turnipseed, everybody. Little time before we get into the 5. We'll check the board, see what y'all are talking about. And there's some notes on the chat room, so I'll read those as well. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. We are streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
Federal appeals court ruled the New Jersey's assault weapon law barring possession of a semi-automatic rifle is unconstitutional. The first time a federal appeals court has ruled that a state's assault weapons ban violated the U.S. Constitution's Second Amendment, so this could be a huge one for here in California. Things could be changing for us gun owners.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
The Colonel's cooked up a new $10 bucket of the day just for you. Monday, 24 nuggets for $10. Tuesday, 8-piece fried chicken for $10. Wednesday, 10 wings for $10. Thursday, 8 tenders for $10. Friday, 24 nuggets for, ooh, you guessed it, didn't you? $10. The $10 bucket of the day deal every weekday. Only at KFC. It's finger licking good.
Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Not available on third-party ordering platforms. Tax extra.
Progressive knows you've got plenty of things to worry about.
What time does the kids' practice end? How long has that check engine light been on? Are takeout containers microwave safe?
So the last thing you should have to worry about is what to do if something unexpected happens on the road. That's why if you're ever in a major accident, Progressive's accident response can detect it and send help. It's just one less thing to worry about.
How long does chicken last in the fridge?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of acid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Ooh, I get by with a little help from my friends. With my friends, with my friends, with my friends. Everybody, I want somebody to love. What do you got on the board? We're going to have 2 minutes. 842-5376, 842-KER. All right, here, let me do this. Let me go into the chat room real quick.
Yeah, you want to go that way?
Yeah, hang on a second. I always do this. I always forget my glasses. I believe this is Stella. Stella writes, Andre Gonzalez was the beginning of the downfall for BCSD. Once he got the unions behind him, he no longer had the power to make a difference for kids, only for the various unions. All he knew how to do was throw money at everything without establishing benchmarks and accountability for other things that received the money. Somebody else writes, good afternoon. Actually, they write hood afternoon, but that's all right. I'm currently a Delano High School math teacher. I have a question for Mike. Hey, Mike, come back. Come back, Mike. When did he serve the Delano Junior Joint Union High School District Board of Trustees? Is he still here?
Yeah, he's right next to me.
Mike, when did you, can you hear me?
You can hear you.
When did you serve the Delano Joint Union High School District Board of Trustees, asks a listener.
81 to 84.
81 to 84?
Yep.
Jesus, I was in college. How old were you? 50?
Let's see, I was in my late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, if I was in college, you're 10 years older than I am? So yeah, you were like almost 30, because I was 81. I was a freshman in college. Why? I wonder why do you think she wanted to know that? Or he? They're currently a high school math teacher, and they wanted to know when you were out there. Where?
Frega.
Say what?
I never listened to Frega. I can't remember the other one. A guy named Anderson.
Math teachers you're trying to talk about for 40 years ago?
I believe he is, yes.
That's insane, Mike.
With the names. What names
Yeah. I don't always care for the segments, but today was outstanding. Public education, the city council, local elections are all great topics that I like hearing you guys discuss. And then somebody said, all right, Mike, Ralph has a show to do. They saw you hanging over me as the musical's playing. That's funny. All right, Mike, Ralph's got a show. That's funny. We do have a show to do. 1 hour left right after these important words.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Authorities are surveying the damage from a powerful storm that swept across Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio that killed at least 2 people. At a news conference in Cambridge City, which saw some of the worst flooding from recent storms, Indiana Governor Mike Braun says he's issuing a statewide emergency declaration.
It is one of the biggest weather events we've had in Indiana, mostly due to the number of counties that it's impacted. Up in the northwest, 99-mile-an-hour winds in Gary, Indiana, Lake County, Porter, and LaPorte. It dropped a lot of rain and wind on the way down, but this part of the state, 3 or 4 counties got definitely hit the worst when it comes to rain and flood damage.
Flash flooding remained a concern, particularly in areas that had already seen significant rain. President Trump's allies attempt to return his name to the Kennedy Center.
The handpicked board of the Kennedy Center has voted to move forward with a 2-year closure to allow for renovation work called for by President Trump.
And we're going to have something that when it opens is going to be brand new, beautiful.
The board is also naming the plaza in front after Trump and putting his name back on the facade. The new inscription would read, the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, restored and renovated by President Donald Trump. It's not yet clear if that would run afoul of a May court order by a U.S. district judge who blocked the closure, informed and said Trump's name had been added illegally. Ohio Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, who filed the lawsuit opposing the changes, called the latest development a transparent effort to circumvent the court's ruling. Jennifer King, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average up by 69 points. The Nasdaq rose 214, with the S&P 500 advancing by 50 points. Oil near $81 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A-plus rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can read a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-844-7344. 866-844-7344.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
A Bakersfield doctor says parents should look at medical research and not politics when making decisions about childhood vaccines. I'm Rob Archer. Dr. Niranjan Das of Pediatrics for All says large studies have found no connection between vaccines and autism. He says the combined MMR vaccine is about 97% effective at preventing measles. The Trump administration is moving toward making separate measles, mumps, and rubella shots available while keeping the combined vaccine as an option. Das worries separating the shots could lead some children to miss follow-up doses. Kern County confirmed its first measles cases in more than 20 years last week. School bus drivers are asking motorists to pay extra attention now that thousands of Kern County students are back in class. 2 school buses were involved in crashes Wednesday afternoon. One was near Sierra Middle School. The other happened on Allen Road south of Rosedale Highway. Students were aboard both buses, but no one was hurt. Drivers are reminded that yellow flashing lights means a bus is getting ready to stop. Red flashing lights and the extended stop sign mean traffic generally has to stop in both directions. Bus drivers say motorists running those red lights remain one of their biggest safety concerns. The Highway Patrol is planning a DUI and driver license checkpoint Saturday night. It's going to run from 6 in the evening until 2 Sunday morning somewhere in an unincorporated area of Bakersfield. Officers will be checking for drivers under the influence of alcohol or drugs, along with valid licenses. After days of triple-digit temperatures, Bakersfield is getting a break. The high today should be around 95. Friday, around 92. Temperatures begin climbing again this weekend. I'm Rob Archer in the Kern Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest well in a month from now, this Hollywood Big Shot's going to give you what you want. Too late. They start shooting in a week. I'm going to make them an offer he can't refuse.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Thursday, 13th day of August. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. We stream live at KernRadio.com. Also streaming live on YouTube. If there was a portion of the broadcast that you missed, you can go back and watch later on. Feel free to do that on YouTube. Can I make a plea to my loyal listeners? Let's not disparage the guests. If there's a segment that you're not particularly fond of, let's keep that to yourself. And I know it was finished off with a compliment that you enjoyed this segment, but let's not. You know, my guests bust their hump to come here in the middle of the afternoon or late in the afternoon to help this program, and they deserve respect. And while I disagree with them often, they are big parts of this show, And so let's keep the decorum up just a little bit, shall we? If you got nothing positive to say about our regulars, then don't say anything at all. Is my take on that. 842-5376-842-KERN. So as I led the show teasing this story, I bumped into an audio of a police officer. I don't even know the guy's name. But he chronicles how the actor James Woods was flying either out of New York or to New York. We'll find out in just a second. And literally could have stopped 9/11. Here's the audio.
We go out to have a cigarette. We come back. We're walking back towards the bar, watching Jack have dinner, and elevator door opens, and who comes out of the elevator but James Woods, the famous actor. And James knows Mark, I think from the Heidi Fleiss case, if I'm not mistaken, and says, "Hey, Mark, how you doing?" He goes, "Well, this is my buddy Bill from New York. He's out here helping me. We're doing a case. We're actually sitting on somebody." So James Woods tells me, he goes, "You know my story about New York, right?" I'm like, "No. What's your story about New York?" He goes, "You never heard about my story?" I'm like, "No." So James Woods tells me, he goes, "I was working out in Boston, we're doing a show, because I'm flying back to LA. It's early in the morning, it's like 10 in the morning, but I wanted like a scotch or something." And so I get on a plane, I asked the flight attendant, whatever. So maybe they thought it was odd that he was drinking, whatever, but he goes, "I'm sitting there and I'm looking at people in first class." I'm like, they did not look like first class customers. He goes, they looked all swarthy and unsophisticated, uneducated, foreigners, whatever. He goes, "There's something just off about it." So the plane takes off. He has like another drink or whatever. And he grabs the flight attendant. He goes, "I think the guy in 1A is talking to the guy in 3F and the other guy over here. I think they're going to try to hijack the plane." And so she goes, "Oh, okay, sure." Anyway, somewhere along the line, the pilots come in and out to use the restroom somewhere on the flight. And she sees what he's talking about. They all start chattering with each other as the pilots are coming in and out. So she said, "Listen, I spoke to the pilots. They're not going to open the door for the rest of the flight, and the FBI will meet you when the plane lands. We'll get to the bottom of this." So the plane lands, and you know how planes go. You get first class goes first. They ask them, "Just stay seated." And now coach, so solid 20 minutes, right? FBI agent and a LAPD airport cop come on and go, "Oh, well, what seems to be the problem?" He goes, "Well, did you get these guys? I think they were going to hijack the plane. Did you?" I go, "Oh, no, I'm sorry. There was some kind of miscommunication, whatever." So they take his information. Well, it turns out that was like Muhammad Atta and the bombers from 9/11.
Wait, they were on that plane?
And they were doing a test run. And so when the doors were coming up, they were telling each other, "All right, so this would be when you run," and you know what I mean? So I call that James Woods could have saved us from 9/11 if they responded to that situation properly. So when I came back to New York, I was in an FBI group at the time, and I said, "I got to find out if this is true or not." And sure enough, it rang some bells. When we ran the information, it like someone called, "Why are you looking at this?" But he was telling the truth.
Amazing. Simply amazing. And there were other areas where we could have stopped this. I found out when I went down to Vero Beach that there's a small airport right next to Vero Beach, and it has become a very infamous airport because that's the airport where they train to fly. And for whatever reason, nobody asked, nobody investigated, nobody called the FBI when these group of Muslims only wanted to learn how to take off. They never took one lesson on landing a plane, and that didn't send off bells and whistles to the folks at Vero Beach. And had they called the FBI and said, "I've got these two Muslims, this Ralph Bailey and this Chris Burdick, and they've been taking lessons here, but it's a little peculiar because they're only taking lessons on how to take off. They're not interested in how to land." That could have stopped it. just an amazing, amazing time where I thought like the world was coming to an end. I really thought like this entire country was under fire. And I didn't think it was going to stop. Because again, you got to remember where I am in my career. I am the news director at Clear Channel Radio, which meant I did the news as our guy does. I don't know if do we do news on the other stations?
No.
Well, at the Clear Channel, they did for the rock station, for the soccer mom station, for the hard rock station. I don't think we had a hip hop station at Clear Channel, and then the news station. And it was a fun job. I've talked about this a lot. It was a fun job because the nature of the news had to be different. Like, for example, on the soccer mom story, I would lead with Travis and Taylor's wedding. On the hard rock station, I would lead with, I don't know, some concert coming up. I don't know. It was just different. And I'll never forget on 9/11, and what you have to know about this is a week prior to this, there was a situation in Italy where a man had a heart attack and crashed a plane into a building, into a very large high-rise building in Italy. So when it first came over that a plane had hit one of the Twin Towers, I know a little bit about New York, what I remember from living there, and I knew that was not on the flight plan out of LaGuardia or Kennedy. It seemed bizarre that they'd be that far off course, and I was like, it must have been a heart situation. There must have been something going on in the cockpit to force them to go be in that part of New York and to hit this tower. And so we didn't play it up that much. It's just there's been a major accident in New York. And then when the second one hit, I almost got into a fight by a guy named Eddie, Fast Eddie, or whatever his stupid name was, just a moron, where I went to all the stations and I said, we have to break in now. We have to break in right now. And every DJ said, you're right, Ralph. And this Eddie was like, I'm not breaking in. This what? It's just a plane situation. I said, dude, there's been a second accident. You don't know that. I'm like, Eddie, I'm the news director. I'm on top of this. Believe me, we are breaking in. And if we have to fight about this, we'll fight about this. And then we'll let the general manager decide whether or not we should have broken in or we should have just played music on one of the most disastrous days since Pearl Harbor. You freaking moron. I mean, we're about to go at it. And then finally, one of the other DJs heard us arguing, and the guy was like, he's right, dude. This is major. And this is before the buildings had collapsed. And then we had these Clear Channel executives who were in from Houston that had to end up staying for like a week. Because if you remember, President Bush shut down after he let his Saudi buddies sneak out of New York. That's a whole nother story that I don't have time for, but shut down the airways where you couldn't fly. And so the guys from Clear Channel were stuck in Vegas for like 3 or 4 days, but it was just incredibly bizarre. And then we had my cousin, George's daughter, my cousin, was working in the Pentagon. And we didn't hear from her for like 2 days. And that was heart-wrenching, where we thought that she was part of the Pentagon thing. And then there's the Oliver North story, where I interviewed Oliver North about 15 years ago. I think right when I was getting here, maybe 13 years ago. I think I did it here. Maybe it was at Buckley. But Oliver North tells the story. He was coming in on a plane from Detroit, and he was on the left side of his plane, and he saw the plane that was coming in from the Pentagon. And, that's another miracle. The fact that they did not reach the entire Pentagon, because there could have been major damage to the Pentagon. And now, as part of Honor Flight, that is one of the stops. They've recently added that to where there is a memorial outside of the Pentagon for the folks who were killed outside. And then there's part of the same memorial that's for those that died inside. And I can't remember how they distinguish it, but there is something that they do in this courtyard that they've created for the memorial that indicates who was killed outside and who was killed inside of the Pentagon. It's just an incredibly bizarre story and an incredible period in American history. And we all lived through it. Isn't that incredible? Can I say incredible one more time? Let's take a break and come back, and we'll talk a little high-speed rail. Vince Vaughn is speaking out because guess what? They out of money, and Donald ain't giving them any. Will this thing ever go away? Will the liberals and Gavin Newsom ever walk away from this? And what Gavin Newsom doesn't seem to understand is that this alone could prevent him from becoming president. Because if I'm a liberal Democrat, that's the first thing I hit him on. Hey, Gavin, at a debate, explain this high-speed rail thing you got. Because I saw that you claimed you were in Shafter in Kern County, and you claimed that they were laying tracks. Hell, it's 2028 now, and you still ain't laid no tracks. You still a big proponent of that high-speed rail project that you said that was going to cost $33 million, and it's now almost $300 million? There is no way that, well, let's pray he becomes the nominee, but there's no way in hell. There is no way in hell. But you know what? With this democratic socialist movement, I can't call anything. I thought the Republicans were going to lose the House. Now, I think there's a great probability that we maintain the House and the Senate. Based on what happened last night, we'll talk about that a little bit. And you'll hear from Vince Vaughn. And you'll hear from Carolyn Levitt before we get out of here. She is getting out of here being the White House. Just had another baby, but some folks are insisting that she was on the decoy plane. And, you know, if I just had a baby and I thought I was going to work through it, and then my boss put me on a plane that his detail thought was dangerous, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going home to my baby. I got a 64-year-old old man that's rich. I'm 28 years old. I got 2 beautiful babies. And my president thinks that I'm expendable. I'm out. That's what I do. I don't blame her. But, of course, she was very complimentary to the president, thanking the president, Susie Wiles, et cetera, et cetera. You will hear from the outgoing press secretary. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230. We stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Friday edition of the First Look program, Lois Henry went and played ball, so we're going to talk to Bob Price. If you guys haven't heard about this Stories on the Sidewalk thing, it's fun, it's quaint, and it's quality entertainment. We're going to do that. We got news, we got traffic, we got weather, and then I'm out of here on vacation. It's all happening at 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Very excited about my weekend. I'm taking a friend who's only been to Casey Steakhouse once, and they were there for an event, so they didn't even eat, but they liked the ambiance. And I said, wait till you get a hold of one of the best steaks you're ever going to have. And I'm going to turn them on to the Stockyard next door on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, where they have live music on Saturday. They have a lovely young woman named Lottie that plays. And of course, Bobby and Jimmy are playing live music Tuesday through Saturday in the main restaurant. But again, the ambiance, the age, the restaurant's almost 90 years old, and no one could have ever believed that Cassie Biddle would take this restaurant to where it is now, advancing, adding on to it, just building up on the menu, where it's not just simply all about steaks. I told you about the lobster mac and cheese, the fish dishes, the chicken dishes, you name it. Chef Daniel's done an incredible job of expanding the menu. Where would you rather be than on F Street at KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsor of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Carpet Outlet Plus installed over 1 million square feet of flooring last year alone. Over 20 years of Bakersfield's best flooring store means you can trust us with your hardwood, laminate, vinyl, and of course, carpet. Come in today to see over 100 waterproof floors from our in-stock inventory. It's probably been time to change your floors for a while, so call, click, or stop by today. Your free in-home estimate is waiting for you. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Warmer weather is finally here, and that means cookouts,
ball games,
and maybe enjoying some time on the water.
But it also means lots of heavy foods, sweets, and maybe an extra adult beverage or two. Thank goodness we both take Active Liver from New Nordic. Did you know your liver works around the clock processing food, sugar, alcohol, and everyday toxins? All the things that can really impact your health.
That's why daily support matters. Active Liver is designed to protect normal liver function and support your body's natural detox process.
With trusted natural ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and artichoke extract, it's gentle enough to take all year long.
No harsh cleanses, no extreme detoxes, just simple daily liver support. We really feel the difference.
Active Liver helps us enjoy the good things in life with peace of mind that our liver isn't working overtime. Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com, and you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Eight 842-5376, 842-KERN. So, in my opinion, one of the best press secretaries that I've seen. I think Tony Snow, the late Tony Snow, was one of the great ones. I think Ari Fleischer was one of the good. Sean Spicer, I didn't think was very good. I thought Sarah Huckabee was good. Corinne Jean-Pierre obviously was just a joke. She's not so interesting because Jen Psaki, better known as Peppermint Patty, the redheaded press secretary for Joe Biden, she would have Corinne Jean-Pierre sit in for her on occasions. So we kind of knew when Jen Psaki left, we kind of knew who the heir apparent was. But as you all probably remember, when Carolyn was gone, the president turned to the cabinet, and it was Scott Bessent, it was Marco Rubio, it was the vice president. And so no one really has any clue who this is going to be. You know what I told my buddy this morning? I think it's going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, that reporter who is part of the White House press corps. And you can always tell it's him. You don't have to see him. You don't have to see him because he's a reporter, and he'll start his question like this. Mr. President, given the unbelievable great job that you have done in the last year and the great job that you did between 2016 and 2020, because you are one of the finest presidents that have ever lived, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? You know what I mean? I mean, this guy is like, are you kidding me? Are you not embarrassed as a reporter, as part of the White House press corps, to be openly sucking the big toe of the president of the United States, all in front of your colleagues who must just look at you and be like, you are a freaking joke, dude. I bet it's him. I bet it's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
That's a good guess, to be honest.
Although I forgot, Trump hates Marjorie Taylor Greene now.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point.
I forgot about that.
So my question is, and I don't know exactly what this lady is doing now, but why not reach out to the lady that was doing it at the end of his last term, McInerney?
She's got a Fox gig. Sure, she's got a contract. Yeah, she's on every morning. I watch her every morning. She's part of it's the panel show with the black lady and the former Raider cheerleader. And Fox has got a former Raider cheerleader.
I did. This is news to me. I had no idea.
The little short girl with the dark hair. I should know her name. But she has a law degree. So don't mess with her. That's what I'm saying. She's hot.
So she was a Raider when she was doing
probably going to law school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And they were getting paid like
They get paid nothing. Oh, did you know that? That all these cheerleaders, like the Dallas Cowgirls or whatever the hell they call them, and the Raiderettes and all these cheerleaders,
they don't get paid jack
they
diddly.
don't get paid crap. One of the favorite interviews I ever did, and yes, I ended up hitting on her because I was 28 years old, is I got to interview a Laker girl. And it was the very same thing. She was a Laker girl who was going to law school. And this is the Paula Abdul era, where Paula Abdul was the choreographer. Because remember, it's Jerry Buss that introduced cheerleading to NBA. There were no cheerleaders in the NBA before the Laker Showtime. It was Buss who came up with the idea, we're going to make this Hollywood. We're going to make this Showtime. It was Buss that came up with the cheerleaders. It was Buss. Now, you got to be old and a real hard Laker fan to remember this. But remember the guy who would dress up in a white tuxedo in tails, big, tall, lanky white guy, Barry something, and at some juncture of the game, he would come down the stands dancing like a crazy idiot. And for whatever reason, Laker fans loved it. He would come down every game in the same white tuxedo, white shirt, white tie, white tails, and just go crazy and just do, I don't know, just kind of nutty, crappy things. And the fans would dig it. And so it was Buss who introduced this Hollywood element and tried to stress getting celebrities on the floor, you know, Diane Cannon and Jack.
Dancing Barry is what I'm saying.
Is that what it was? Dancing Barry?
Barry Richards was his name, but Dancing Barry is what he was known as.
Yeah. Do they have a picture of him?
No, not really.
Dancing Barry. Yeah. So it was Buss that introduced that.
Oh, no, I lied. I found one.
Yeah. Crazy looking cat, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
They have video of him doing his thing?
Video, probably, if I dig for it.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. But it was a crazy time. And I got to, it was a cute little black girl. She was 25. I was like 27, 28. I took her to the Chart House, borrowed my mom's car, spent a ton of dough, and went out twice. And then she put her hands in my chest. You know what that means, don't you, Chris? When a girl puts her hands in your chest?
In your chest?
Yes.
Does that mean like to get away from me,
Yes.
you weirdo?
Yes. You're coming in to get a kiss, and she's like, no.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. She's
like, nah.
I think that's happened to me 3 times in my entire life, and that was one of them. Not that I've been rebuffed 3 times, but normally you know when to go in for a kiss.
100%.
You absolutely
1000%.
know. You absolutely know.
There are tells.
And we had a great time. We were flirting, touching, boop, boop, boop. And I went in, and she went, pass interference, my brother. Don't touch me. Quick time out. Last half hour. Don't go anywhere.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Firefighters are tackling multiple fires in central England on a day that the UK recorded its hottest day of the year as an intense stretch of hot weather continues to grip Europe. Thursday's fire outbreak along the West Midlands, which saw several houses burned to the ground, has been one of the most significant incidents the region's fire service has ever dealt with. The Pacific-based aircraft carrier USS George Washington has begun heading towards the Middle East as reports have emerged of mental health and supply issues aboard the long-deployed USS Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln has been supporting the U.S. war against Iran. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 69 points, the Nasdaq rose 214, the S&P advanced 50. More details at srnnews.com.
Current Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Rob Archer. A Bakersfield pediatrician is urging parents to follow medical research when making decisions about childhood vaccines. Dr. Niranjan Das says large studies have found no link between vaccines and autism. He says the combined MMR vaccine is about 97% effective against measles. Kern County confirmed its first measles cases in more than 20 years last week. School bus drivers are asking motorists to pay extra attention now that classes are back in session. 2 school buses were involved in crashes Wednesday afternoon. Students were aboard both buses, but no one was hurt. And the break from the heat continues. Bakersfield should reach around 95 today, about 92 tomorrow, before temperatures climb again this weekend. I'm Rob Archer in the Kern newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru to tell you the Subaru A Lot to Love event is going on right now at Sangera Subaru. This is the best time to get an incredible offer on a brand new 2026 Subaru, like a 2026 Outback Premium CVT. Lease one for $229 a month for 36 months with $5,017 due at signing. Offer ends August 31st, so stop by, see my good friends Damon Culbertson and Assad Levy during the Subaru A Lot to Love event. Pick out your new Subaru and hit the road. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community. 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersfield Auto Mall, 24/7 at sangerasubaru.com.
Lease a 2026 Outback Premium CVT for $229 a month plus tax for 36 months. Total payments $8,869. $5,017 due at signing. Includes first payment. Excludes tax, title, license, and fees. Total lease cost $13,886, excluding tax and fees. TSRP $37,287. No security deposit required. Lease based on 7,500 mile per year. 15 cents per mile over. Available to qualified customers through Subaru Motor Finance Tier 1 SCA credit approval. Expires 8/31/26. Excludes optional products and dealer installed accessories. VIN number TY514370.
First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Friday edition of the First Look program, Lois Henry wouldn't play ball, so we're going to talk to Bob Price. If you guys haven't heard about this Stories on the Sidewalk thing, it's fun, it's quaint, and it's quality entertainment. We're going to do that. We got news, we got traffic, we got weather, and then I'm out of here on vacation. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Love this woman. 842-537-6842-KERN. Let's get to Carolyn Levitt. I want to hear what she has to say. Here is the outgoing press secretary. I gotta confirm this. I want to look this up. I don't think she was on the plane because they released the list of who was not on the plane and who Trump took with him. You know, he took Hegseth with him. Like if I'm Marco Rubio and you took Pete Hegseth over me, I'm the Secretary of State, I'd be so pissed. But amongst that list that I had, Bessent, Rubio, you would think Levitt would be right there at the top. You looking it up? Let me see if maybe Siri, what do you got?
Let's see. This is from a website that not normally credible, so or not in that way, but not normally something I pull from. But says, asked whether Levitt was on the flight, the White House spokesperson said, "This is not true. She was not on the trip."
That's right. That exactly. I didn't think so.
Again, that's just one source too. That could also be hoopla. I have no idea.
Well, my source was the New York Times, and the New York Times would have had her on the list. There's no way she was on the plane, and the Times just didn't consider her big enough or whatever, and didn't include her on that list. Because the highlight of the list was Rubio, Bessent, and one other person. Hang on, maybe I wrote it down from a couple days ago. Rubio, Bessent, and Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller was on the plane. And he's a pretty big shot in the cabinet, special consultant or whatever his title is. But I didn't think she was on the plane. And I don't think that would be a reason for her to leave. I think it's just that she just had a baby. I mean, you women know what it's like just to have a baby. And there's no harder or more laborious job than working at the White House. Because, and I'm being the master of the obvious, obviously, but you're on call 24/7. you're on call more than a doctor because events happen in the middle of the night or in Europe or in the Middle East. And as the press secretary, you're the one that they're calling in the middle of the night. So even if the White House doesn't call you, which obviously they would, your sources are going to be calling you. Hey, Carolyn, what do you know about this? What are you talking about? I just woke up, boom, 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 boom. And now you just woke up my baby. And plus I've got a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. I don't know how old our other child is. But it's just insane. I don't know how anybody could try to pull that off. And she's 28 years old. And, you know, this administration is slowly coming to a close. 28 will be here very soon. And I'm sure there are thousands of things she wants to do. Here is soon-to-be former press secretary Carolyn Levitt.
I just try to take it one day at a time and say, okay, what time can I carve out for my children today? When do they need me? And then maybe during nap time is when I'm really putting in the work here at the office, and then, trying to get home early when I can. And I'm very grateful to the president for understanding that and for empowering so many working mothers and parents here at the White House.
The single most important element, and I know you guys roll your eyes when I talk about parenting because I've never, I suppose, officially done it because I have no children, but I've certainly played, I hope, some role in my nephews' lives. And I certainly know for a fact that I played a role in my late sister's life. We're 10 years apart. And I was, I literally taught her how to walk. I was changing diapers. I was obviously as the oldest, I was the designated babysitter. But the single most important element of parenting is really, really simple. And so many parents don't get it. And so many parents can't get it because of what they do. I just talked about who was I talking about? John Wayne. And it's presence. And I don't mean ENTS. I mean ENCE. Being there. Period. And as I said yesterday, I don't consider myself a victim because it's the life that I led and I didn't know anything differently. But I wouldn't see my father. There'd be some days where I never saw my father because when I would wake up, he's gone. He's at the hospital. He's in surgery. You know what I'm saying? When I get home at 3, 4 in the afternoon, he's not there. And then once I got involved in sports and I'd come home at 7, 8 o'clock, if he would pick me up, if my uncle picked me up, there'd be days where I wouldn't even see him because he would come home, have dinner, get some sleep, and go do rounds. He was an anesthesiologist, and if you've ever been in a hospital or had an operation, you know that it's the anesthesiologist who comes to your room the night before and explains what's going on, what we're going to do. It's not the surgeon, it's the anesthesiologist. So we would have to do rounds every night. So there'd be nights where there'd be days where I literally didn't see him. And as I talked about a little bit earlier, my father, both my parents never saw me play sports. And that really, I've kind of buried it, but that was a sore point for me because I did go to a private school where the parents were engaged. And to be one of the few kids on the team whose parents weren't in the stands, it hurt. I'm not going to lie. It really did. And I don't think parents understand how much presence, ENCE, plays a role and a factor in their upbringing. Quality time, that's nonsense. It's quantity time and the amount of time you spend with that child. And, at 28 years old, I can't imagine what her schedule's like, where she's trying to deal with the White House press corps. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she's not dealing with just a group of reporters. She's literally dealing with some of the best reporters in the country. The New York Times reporters that broke the story about the plane, the Washington Post story that broke the story about the, what was their story about the plane originally. So I don't blame her. I don't understand how she was even thinking about continuing this job after she had the second child. I really don't. What do you got on the board?
Mark Walters' situation is not like the Frank McCourt situation. I think even if Walters is forced out, the Dodgers will be fine. McCourt, on the other hand, screwed everyone on his way out, including Vin Scully, who he owed over $1 million to in bankruptcy.
Yeah, the Walter McCourt thing is not. There's no correlation or connection whatsoever. McCourt was going through a nasty divorce, and yeah, it's not comparable. And nobody knows. Stop acting like you do, because you don't. Nobody knows the ins and outs of this federal probe. It may be nothing for all we know. Like I said, I heard 3 different experts give 3 different reasons why the feds are looking into them. One said it was IRS. In fact, let's go to Lee Steinberg, a very famous and long-term agent. Let's hear his theory on the Lakers sale.
Do you think that this had anything to do with the fact that Mark Walters is under a Department of Justice investigation? He's being federally investigated for potential tax fraud, if I'm not mistaken. Do you think that this has anything to do with that?
I think there has to be some external factor here, because the $2.5 million premium, while it would matter to most human beings, doesn't matter to Mark Walter and their venture capital group. In other words, they're the ones who decided that the Lakers were the $10 billion in the first place, so they wouldn't have sold. Their whole goal was to take the Dodger management principles and move them to the Lakers. How could they give up on that this fast?
What does this mean for Lakers fans?
So look, we all have experienced the stewardship of Bob Iger over Disney. He's a competent, experienced, one of the premier executives in the world. So I think for Laker fans, the franchise will be in good hands. This is the same Bob Iger who ran the Disneyland theme parks, all their content, all their motion pictures, all their cartoons, all their marketing. So he's going to have a strong leadership hand. So I think it augurs well for the Lakers, and the rest of basketball has got to be thrilled that franchise values have soared this way. I mean, it was only a year ago that Washington Redskins were the big sale, and they were $6.2 billion, and then the Seattle Seahawks $9.6 billion. And now a basketball team, which theoretically has less value than a football team, is now the new standard bearer. So I think it'll be good news for Laker fans.
Steinberg, is it me, or does he sound like he just had a stroke, or he's had a couple of cocktails, or he's just old as Methuselah? Just kind of talking like that. He made sense at the first part, but he was the master of the obvious in saying that it's external factors. No kidding, Sherlock, because what defied his point was his own point that it was Walter, not Walters. You see the national host call him Mark Walters. But anyway, it was Walter who was willing, as Lee just said, to put this ridiculous number to buy the Lakers. I mean, $10 billion for the Lakers at the time was considered nutsy cuckoo. So there's no way in hell they raised the price of a franchise by billions of dollars simply to sell it off 10 months later. There's just no way. There's no way. That's just financially stupid. Because again, as we said yesterday, if the Lakers are worth $12.5 billion on August 13th, 2026, what do you think they're going to be worth in 2030, 2035? I mean, if you have a sports franchise and you sell it, you are an idiot, an absolute idiot. Examine, I don't have the numbers, but take a look at what Jerry Jones paid Gil Brandt and Schramm and all those guys to own the Cowboys. And look what they're worth now. It's crazy. In fact, I got to get the numbers.
12.5. It's the same as the Dodgers, 12.5. It's an estimated, but
No. I want to know what they were.
Oh, I'm sorry. What he
paid?
paid? Yeah. Oh, my fault. Yeah.
Hey Siri, what did Jerry Jones pay for the Dallas Cowboys? No. Hey Siri, what did Jerry Jones pay to buy the Dallas Cowboys?
Here's an answer from Bolivit.com.
$140 million. And now what are they worth?
12.5 bill. At least that's the estimated that I believe the Athletic put in their article yesterday. Because they said the Rams were the same.
$140 million to billions and billions and billions. And I bet that doesn't even put in place the stadium. I bet that's just the franchise and the ball club. It doesn't even include the damn stadium.
And imagine if the Cowboys or even the Lakers won a championship next year, like the Seattle Seahawks did.
Yeah.
That number would skyrocket.
So there's something funky going on. The other thing that I have a problem with what Lee Steinberg said, whether he's had a stroke or he's just having a couple of cocktails, is this idea that Bob Iger, because he ran Disney so well, is going to be a sports legend. They don't transfer. They don't equate. There's no correlation between being a successful businessman and being a successful business owner. There's not much to being a business owner. You just kind of stay out of the way and hire good people, or you can do it the Jerry Jones way and try to actually be a part of the thinking. And that's why the Cowboys haven't won or been to the Super Bowl since I was in my 30s, literally. You know what I'm saying? So if Iger is smart, he'll lay back and let his people do their work. But if he tries to get in here like I'm the Disney genius and try to tinker with this thing, he don't know what he's doing. What's his experience? What's Kushner's experience? That they went to Clipper games? They were season ticket holders? Great. Quick timeout. Final break of the night, I should say. Tomorrow's a Friday. We're going to be busy. We're going to have a ton of guests tomorrow. Rick Bentley will lead us off at 3:30. We'll talk with Nick Ragone at 4. Who else did I say?
Elizabeth Graff.
Well, no, I'm going in sequential order. Who's at 4:30?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to look at the text message if I'm being honest.
Don't we have somebody at 4:30?
I believe you did. But again, give me 1 second to Clayton Campbell.
Oh, yeah, Clayton Campbell's coming in at 4:30. Local defense attorney, part-time host of the JR Show and the Ralph Bailey Show, and overall good egg. Cardinal fan. We're going to talk about the Escobar, what's his name? Raphael, dang it, the guy that cut his wife's throat. I'm not leaving until I get it right. Estrada, the Rafael Estrada case, and we'll talk about the Luigi Mangione case with him as well. Why is the federal government going to cut a deal with this guy? And then at 5 o'clock, Elizabeth Graff is going to join us from the California Living Museum. It's that time again for the annual Zufari this Saturday. She'll tell you all about that. But in the meantime, keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
The state of California needs money because of the way we've been spending our Medicare money.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh! Three, two. I don't know if Cynthia Zimmer has gone to work for the federal government. She's now known as Monty Hall. Let's make a deal. But the federal government is going to make a deal with Luigi Mangione where he's not going to go before a state court, so he'll get federal prison, which is cushier than state courts. 3-2. So I don't know if Cynthia Zimmer is now working for the federal government because she's Monty Hall. Let's make a deal. And the federal government is going to make a plea deal with Luigi Mangione where he won't be charged with murder. He won't have to go to a state prison, which is much harder than a federal prison. I don't see how this is possible. And he'll never face the state charges because that's double jeopardy. I just don't understand. 3-2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on a busy Friday. Rick Bentley at 3:30, Nick Ragone at 4 o'clock, Clayton Campbell at 4:30, and Elizabeth Graff from COM. It's the annual Zufari this Saturday. She'll tell you all about it. All of that, me at 3. TRBS, News Talk 96.1 AM 1230. I'll see you at 3.
Found cash you can put aside, and to cover the rest, Albert can get you up to $10,000 fast. Can you find contractors nearby within our budget? Here's a list of contractors. Would you like help requesting a $10,000 loan for your bathroom renovation?
Yes! Download the Albert app and use promo code READY to access Genius. Plus, get up to $10,000 for whatever you need. Just download the Albert app right now and use promo code READY to get up to $10,000. That's promo code READY.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to...
I meant to ask, did you want the whole thing or did you just want his answers? Huh? No. I'm just saying, like, because they had all the questions and stuff in it too. So I didn't know if you wanted it that way or. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. That's fine.
How long is it total?
2.5, 3 minutes? Yeah, it's not terribly long, but it's still long.
Eight 842-5376, 842 KERN. Sweet love this woman. I dated a girl who looked just like her. Serious. If we went out to like a nice restaurant, like a really, really nice restaurant, people would think that she was, well, first of all, let me figure if I've got the artist right. That was Anita Baker, correct? No? That was.
I'm sorry, I got a big old boom box here in the hallway, so it'd be hard to hear me. What was the question?
Who is that?
I think it's Snacks on his way out.
Oh. That was Anita, not Anita Hill. Anita Baker.
Yes.
Anita Baker, yeah. She looked just like her. Had the short hair. She was short. She was with me the infamous night that I quit Coast Media Newspapers. They had a gargantuan party. I love this story. I know I tell it a lot, but I was an idiot. I was young. I was stupid, and I was living with my uncle, not paying any rent and not making any money, and I just got frustrated with Coast Media Newspapers and quit. I just went into the thing. Like I said, I'm giving my 2-week notice, and would you mind if I didn't? I asked them, would it be all right if I just left? And they're like, fine, Ralph, we're gonna miss you. We're really sad about this one film. Boop, boop, boop. And they had a big party for me, and I brought Angie, who's the Anita Baker lookalike, and there were 2 guys that ran the newspaper. Ken Tanaka, who I played basketball with on Saturdays at Loyola Marymount, Really nice guy, super nice guy. He handled the money. They were so cool, and they paid us so poorly that you could get, and maybe this is just the 20th century, but you could get advances on your check. They'd give you like $200 or $300 on your check if you needed it in advance. And that was Tanaka's deal. And the other guy was the journalism guy, but he wasn't. He was like, I don't know what his role was. And so we're at this party, and Ken Tanaka and I go out in the backyard of this person's house and smoke a joint. And, they brought presents and all this stuff. It was a big party. And we're going, so where you going? I go, I said, I don't know really. I said, I might work at my dad's hospital. They need a public relations person. I might do some writing for them. St. Francis Hospital out in Linwood. And he said, are you telling me you quit us and you don't have a job? I go, yeah, I'm not worried about it. I'm extremely hireable, Ken, believe me. I'm not concerned. And he said, that's crazy, Ralph. What would it take to keep you here? And I was like, what? He said, what would it take to keep you here? And I gave some minuscule, I'm really stupid about money. And I said something like $50 a week or $75 a week or something. But what I wanted was the title of city editor. Because again, it was a weekly newspaper. It was owned by a publishing company that did weekly newspapers in different communities. My community was Inglewood, Culver City, or not Culver City, Inglewood, Hawthorne, Lawndale, Westchester, Playa del Rey. And that was my responsibility, but I was just a staff writer. But I put that paper that goes to those areas together myself. So I wanted city editor. And he said, $75 a week, $150 a check, and city editor, deal. So now I've got to go back into this party where these people have brought me gifts. And they're like, good night, Ralph. Good night. Good luck. And I'm like, well, as I'm gathering up my gifts, actually, y'all, and Tanaka's laughing as he's walking out the door. And I'm gathering up my gifts. Actually, I'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks for the party. Appreciate it. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, Ken and I worked it out in the backyard. I'll be with you on Monday. And jokingly, they're like, give us back those presents. They actually let me keep the presents, but I love that story. Just to look back and to see what a complete, what's the word I'm looking for? Fool and idiot I was in my 20s. Quitting a job without having a job.
A wild decision.
And the second time in my 20s that I did it. I walked off my waiter gig in the middle of a shift. This lady was like, yeah. And I went there, and you haven't been there, I haven't seen you. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. Took off my little fake bow tie, talked to the gay cook that I love, this guy named Kenny. I said, Kenny, I can't do it anymore. He goes, Ralph, don't walk off. Because I had taken off my tie. He's like, don't do it. I go, I can't. And 3 weeks later, I was the copy editor at the LA Sentinel. That's going to do it for us. For Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. We'll wrap to you tomorrow.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Police credit a company with tens of thousands of automated cameras with helping find missing persons and violent suspects. Now Flock says it's implementing controls to address privacy concerns.
Flock says guardrails that are currently optional will become mandatory by January 1st. For example, law enforcement customers will be required to tie each search to a specific case and use an audit tool that flags abnormal behavior. This comes after a Washington Post report found dozens of instances where officers were accused of misusing the technology for personal searches, like tracking former girlfriends. The standard data retention window will be shortened from 30 days to 7, and customers will be allowed to decide which offenses, such as immigration enforcement, outside agencies can search their data for. I'm Jennifer King.
The U.S. ambassador to Israel is calling Israeli violence in the West Bank a horrific terror, as many say Israel's government continues to allow Israeli settler violence against Palestinians.
The U.S. ambassador to Israel has condemned the actions of Israeli settlers who are besieging the home of an American Palestinian family